Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Abby and I like to talk about spooky things. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 20 Glitch in the Matrix TikToks. As always, if you like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, click the subscribe button down below, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I post every Sunday and most Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. And without further ado, let's get right on into the video. Our first TikTok's by the user Pineapple Vegan.
Alright y'all, so I'm about to tell y'all some really weird stuff. So if you do not have an open mind, just exit out real quick. Just go get up out here partner real quick, like, cause you have to have an open mind. Hold on, I need some water. Whew. Okay, so I've always believed in other universes and other dimensions like existing right now at the same time that ours is. I believe that time is just something that we just kind of made up because everything is happening all at once right now. But that's for another video. This video is because I've always believed in other dimensions, but I didn't know for sure until I had this experience. Now, this is just one of many experiences that I've had, y'all, and I've been on the fence about talking about this, but my husband was like, you should talk about this stuff. People might be interested, and you don't know who else might be going through the same things. So that's why I'm sharing right now. So basically, one time when I was laying down, I think I fell asleep. I don't know if I was daydreaming, but this situation is not a dream. Let me clarify, this is not a dream. I know when I've had a dream and when I've experienced something real. So I laid down and I guess I drifted off. I don't know. But next thing I know, I'm waking up somewhere else. I lay down in my bed. I wake up in another bed. But the consciousness that I had while waking up was that this was a familiar place for me. It was actually my bed, if that makes any sense, but not my bed, not my house. So I wake up. I'm in like a loft, like a big, beautiful, expensive loft, high-rise style situation. It was beautiful. And my bedroom window had these floor-to-ceiling windows. That was the wall. And so the sun was shining in from it. So I get up out of my bed and I realize that I have on like satin pajamas. I don't sleep in stuff like that, y'all. I sleep in boxer briefs, like some little boxer briefs and t-shirt type stuff. Like I'm cozy. I'm a cozy chick. I'm not like all into the fancy pajamas. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just that I'm comfortable in regular old worn cozy things. I love my stuff. Anyway, I had on these like light satin pajamas or silk pajamas, and I felt that my hair was straight. I do wear my hair straight sometimes, but mainly my hair is curly. Like I'm a wild child. I'm gonna get up and go. If it takes too much time, it is not for my behind. No, but for real, I'm just simple. So and she just felt just different. So I instantly go to the bathroom. I instinctively knew that that was the bathroom. And I went in there and I put my hand on the sink like this. I'm in my bathroom right now. I put my hand on the sink like this and I look up at myself. But it wasn't me, y'all. Like I was aware that this was my face. The hair was straight. I didn't look exactly like myself. I carried myself differently. Honestly, it felt like a little bougie version of me. It was weird. But I just kind of was taken aback, like, what the hell going on? So I splashed water on my face. I literally remember feeling the water on my face. And I look at myself again and I'm like, this is really happening, but where am I? Hold on. So this is really happening. Where am I? I'm confused. So I walk back into the bedroom and something tells me, go to the window, right? So I walk to the window. Now, y'all have to understand that I know it's not a dream. I remember this too well. It was very real. So what I'm explaining is, it's like another version of myself. I was not married. I did not have my children. I felt single. It almost felt like a life I would have taken if I had followed my original life plan. And I love I love my life. I love being a wife. I love my finance husband. I love I love being a mother. I love my beautiful children. Like I love being a mom. I love my life. Don't get it twisted. I have no regrets. But I remember when I was younger, I wanted to be an attorney. I did not want any children. I wanted to be the rich auntie, y'all. I don't know why, but I fell in love and my life changed. And it was like that. But this version of me felt like the version of me that I would have been if I had took my original route. And y'all, when I tell y'all, when I walked to that bedroom window and looked out the window, I looked up to a mountainside. It was beautiful. And on the mountainside was a giant billboard. Okay, y'all, my bad. My phone died, then I had to go to the gym. So here's part 2. And I ended right when I looked out the window, y'all. Y'all are not going to believe who I saw when I looked out the window. There was a massive billboard in front of these mountains, you know, like on the side of the highway. My loft was right like next to these mountains and the highway, and the big billboard. It was Aaliyah, y'all. It was Aaliyah. And y'all, she looked how she would look now, like the age, but she was still very beautiful, but very graceful. And it was a skincare line. It was her skincare line, and she was on this billboard, like the bottles of skincare was next to her, and it was like red and gold, the colors on the billboard. But when I seen her, I knew that she was older. I knew that my conscious self, this world self, knew that that was not right, because I know that Aaliyah, may God rest her soul, passed away when I was still a teenager in high school. So in that moment, that very moment, I knew that I was in another dimension, and I was aware. Like, I was aware the whole time, but in that moment, and it scared me so bad that I got dizzy. And I backed up and I laid down on my bed and I closed my eyes. And then the next thing I know, I'm back home, back in this reality. And the first thing I did was run and tell my husband. I was like, what is happening? He was like, you're dreaming. I said, no, it wasn't a dream. It was not a dream, y'all. And I've been holding this in for a while. This happened like 2 or 3 years ago. And other things have happened to me and my youngest son. Y'all, it's a lot to this. It's a lot more to this than we think. But if y'all like this type of stuff, I'll definitely talk about my experiences. And I would love to hear about yours. So tag me in them. But y'all, this ain't it. It ain't just us. And it ain't just now. It's all the time. Everything is all the time. Forever. It's crazy. But I often feel like, and I know that version of me knew that, I hit my leg. That version of me knew and was aware that it wasn't in her body either. So I wonder if she was in mine. And what does she think about my little life, my little country life? But that was amazing. And I feel like that's exactly what it was. It's me right now if I had went that path. It's crazy. Believe me or not, you don't have to. You don't have to. I'm not gaining anything from sharing this with y'all. But it's exciting. I'm not scared. It's just exciting. But there's part 2. Y'all have a lot of stuff. But tell me about y'all experiences. Yeah. Sorry for making y'all wait. My bad. Bye.
I definitely think that is a huge possibility. I am a firm believer in the fact that there are many, many millions of billions, I don't even know the number, but a large amount, if not unlimited, different realities happening at the same time as ours. I mean, there are unlimited possibilities for what can happen on a day-to-day basis, and that's because there are unlimited versions of things happening daily. At least that's what I personally believe. I believe anything is possible because anything and everything is happening at the exact same time in another plane of existence. And it seems like she managed to tap into that in her dream. Our next TikTok's for the user, the Nara Files.
I think I jumped timelines once. So this story actually happened to me, so the flow's gonna be a little bit different, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because I have never been able to wrap my head around what actually happened. This happened to me about 5 years ago when me and my boyfriend first got together. I don't want to go too deep into personal details, but I do need to add a little bit of context so you understand like what's happening. Here's the setting. My parents' house is a cabin in the middle of the woods that my dad built himself. The driveway is about 1.5 miles long and it's all dirt and gravel. It's really rough and it goes up the mountain, and the house is really secluded. I actually grew up on hydroelectricity, so we made our own power and lived off the grid. This is in the Appalachian woods of North Carolina. When I first met my boyfriend, I decided I wanted to move out of my parents' house. I wasn't very happy there. And so the situation was pretty tense between us. My parents didn't like the fact that I was wanting to move out with a boy. And yeah, so there's like a little bit of context as to the emotional background of the situation. So a few months after I met him and they found out that I was staying with him and not a girlfriend, they wanted me to come back to their house to just talk about things a little bit more and everything like that. I was there for a few days and it was not going well. Things were really tense. So I decided I wanted to leave, but my dad's emotions were really high. You know, his baby girl's leaving the house. And he actually called the police because of the dispute we were having. It wasn't like physically violent or anything. It was just really high emotions. And of course my boyfriend isn't there with me at this point. He's like off at his own place. I should also explain that my parents didn't really like my boyfriend when we first met. I'm not really gonna go into it. So yeah, he just didn't want me to leave. I was 19 though, so I could leave. So anyway, the cops, they come and they drive up the driveway, and I had started walking down the driveway because I was like, I didn't have my car, and I was like, I just don't want to be here. And they drove all the way up to the driveway until about a quarter mile away from the house. So they were pretty close to the house. We were pretty far back in the woods. And because my dad had done this, I actually had called my boyfriend and told him like, hey, I really want to leave. Is there any way you can come get me? He didn't want to drive his car up there, so he got one of our coworkers / friends who's a little older to drive him up there. So me and my parents are staying there talking to the cops. They're telling my dad, you know, you can't stop her from leaving. She's 19. They're talking to me, just, you know, assessing the situation, calming us down, all that. After a few minutes, the Jeep that my boyfriend was riding in pulls up behind the cop cars, and I can't see the whole car, but I can see the top of it and how it's tall. It's a Jeep thing. He gets out of the back seat and he's holding a bag of bread for some reason. It's chaos. My dad doesn't like that he's there. They're kind of having another argument. So the cops tell him that it's best if he just, leaves. And right after my boyfriend had gotten out, our friend had left. Like, I saw the Jeep pull backwards and leave. Like, it drove backwards up around a curve so it could leave because the road was really narrow, so it couldn't just turn around. But anyway, it left. So my boyfriend starts to walk back down the driveway to leave, like the cops told him to do. And I, speak to my parents a little bit more. I'm like, I'm leaving. I go back to their house, grab my stuff, get on the four-wheeler to drive the four-wheeler down to my friend's vehicle. And before he had pulled up behind the cop cars, I had never seen his car before. So it was very noticeable that when I got to the bottom of the driveway, I recognized it because I had seen it like a few minutes earlier. I go with him, I leave, and that's that. A few weeks later, we are discussing the situation that had occurred, and I'm talking to my boyfriend about it, and I forget how I mentioned it, but at some point I mentioned him getting out of the vehicle that he was in with our friend. He looks at me really confused, and he's like, what do you mean? I hiked up the driveway to see you that day. So of course, I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, that's what I did. I mean, he wouldn't forget walking up this driveway. It's like a mile long to get to where we were, and it's up a hill. It's really rough. And he said that is why he had the bag of bread. He was hungry, and our friend just had that in his car, so he grabbed it, and hiked up the driveway. So how did I see the vehicle, and how did I recognize it when I got to the bottom of the driveway? I even asked my dad about this. I was like, hey, do you remember seeing our friend's, vehicle pull up? Do you remember what color it was or what it looked like? And he said that he didn't see it either. He said that my boyfriend just walked up the driveway and appeared around the corner. And what? My boyfriend even texted our friend and was like, hey, did we drive up the driveway or did you drop me off at the bottom? And he says that he dropped him off at the bottom. What happened? How did I see his car? How did it feel like I recognized it when I got to the bottom, like I'd just seen it a few minutes before? It almost feels like, to me, I was in a different timeline or something where he had drove my boyfriend all the way up to the top of the driveway, and maybe because emotions were so high at the moment that I was in this little pocket version of that timeline. That was 5 years ago. I've never been able to figure it out. I don't know what happened. It's wild. Not to mention, we were very secluded in the woods. Our house, our driveway is it's a whole half mile from the nearest neighbor. And we, at that point, were pretty far back there, surrounded by woods. It's actually national state forest woods around my dad's property. So yeah, it's a little different. It's my own story. It's not that scary. It's just kind of weird. But I wanted to see what you guys thought about it, and I wanted to talk about it. So yeah. So if you like this sort of thing, follow for more. Also, like, share, comment. It really helps me when you interact. So thank you guys and for all your support that you've shown me so far in the last few videos. It's so fun and exciting. Of course, thanks so much for watching. Oh, and I did make a YouTube channel, so you could follow me on there. I only have one video that's a repost of one that's on here. But when I heard that TikTok might get banned in January, I wanted to go ahead and start that. I don't know when I'll put videos on it, but yeah, it's the same handle. The Nether files, and yeah, so follow me there if you want to make sure you don't lose me if this app goes belly side up.
I think this kind of goes along with our last TikTok in the same sense of maybe she accidentally jumped timelines and that's how she knew what the car looked like. She jumped timelines, bam, the car brought the boyfriend up, jumped timelines, didn't, or just somehow managed to, in the heat of the moment, maybe with everything going on, with the argument and the intense situation, that she jumped timelines to one where the boyfriend did walk up, but she still has a memory of the boyfriend being driven up. I absolutely think that's a possibility, and I know I know there are some people that are going to be like, that's insane, but hello, like I think with all of these TikToks that we are always seeing and discussing in these Glitch in the Matrix videos, I feel like if anything, that's proof that anything can happen. You never know. Our next TikTok's for the user, Lindsay's Creepy Story Time.
I have a glitch in the Matrix story, and it happened to me. So this is my personal creepy story time. All right, so I have two sons who are both in soccer. With the new season, I had purchased each of them a soccer ball. I let them come into the store and pick their ball out. Naturally, they chose the same ball. So I took a black Sharpie and I wrote each of their names on their ball. Something to note, they are in two different age brackets of soccer, so they have two different teams that they're on. Fast forward a couple soccer practices, and we noticed that one of the seams on the soccer ball had come split open, and the inner ball was kind of popping out, protruding out of the soccer ball, giving it an egg-like shape, or kind of like an oval shape. I should have returned it, but I didn't have the receipt anymore. I didn't want to deal with the hassle. It was kind of a cheap ball. So on the way home from one of the soccer practices where it split, we decided to pop into the same store and go in and get another ball. He insisted on the same design because his brother had that design and they had to be the same. So I'm in the store looking through the balls and I am not finding this design. It took me a little while, but after some standing on my tippy toes and climbing up the shelves, I did find one left in that design. I was so excited and relieved to have found it, so I don't have to deal with the hassle of not having the same ball. And then I started walking up to the front to check out. And on the way to the checkout, I did notice that there was a little string hanging up out of one of the seams. And I was like, oh no, please tell me this one isn't going to split too. But I didn't have a choice. I mean, I guess I could have bought a different kind, but I really wanted to please my child, so I purchased the ball anyway, hoping for the best. I get home and I also write his name on this soccer ball as well. The other one that's oblong and misshapen is still in the trunk of my SUV. So fast forward again to the next soccer game. The coach always has the kids do like a 15-minute warm-up before each game, and then they go ahead and play the game. So after the warm-up, they decided to use Everett's ball as the game ball. So towards the end of the game, I did notice that the ball was looking more and more oval shaped. And I thought, oh my God, I bet it's split. So after the game was over, I walked over to the coach and we were talking about how the ball came undone during the last part of the game and how the coach was just like, whatever, I just let it go at that point because the game was almost over. So then I told my son to grab his water bottle and the ball, despite the fact that it was broken, and now we can't find it. Like, the game just ended minutes prior, and now I'm like looking all around for this ball and I'm thinking, does somebody take this thing? And the coach started to like really look around as well, and I told him, you know what, the ball was trash anyway, I'm gonna have to buy a third freaking ball. So we end up leaving without this ball. I mean, all the fields had cleared out, we looked everywhere, maybe somebody took it, I don't know, ball's gone. So we are still left with one very ripped and oblong shaped ball that still resided in the back of my SUV. Okay, so the next day was my other son's soccer game. Kids always bring an extra ball when their siblings play, so they have something to do while the other is playing. So since I hadn't had time to buy a third ball for my oldest son, I told him if he wanted to take a ball down, grab the broken one that's in the back of my SUV. I even called my mom asking if she had a curved sewing needle and thick thread because I was determined to fix this darn thing instead of having to get another one. So my one son is playing in the game and the other one is off to the side kicking around that broken soccer ball. One of the times where I looked over to check on my son who was just playing around with that broken ball, I noticed from a distance that the ball seemed very round. Remember, this ball was shaped like an egg or an oval when we got to this game. So I called my son over and I asked for him to hand me the ball. I started to look this thing over and I'm spinning it in every direction, and this thing is solid. It is spherical, round, not a fray or rip in sight, not even a piece of thread hanging out of a seam. The ball was 100% intact. I even showed my husband sitting next to me and I threw the ball to him. I said, look at this ball, turn it all around. I said, where's the rip? Where's the protrusion? And he started spinning it around and he's spinning it faster and faster. And he had this like concerned expression on his face, and he looked at me and I looked at him and I just got chills, and I was just like, this ball is 1000% fixed. How? So we had two blowout balls One disappeared into thin air, and now this one has magically healed. Yes, it had his name written on it in Sharpie. Nice big letters. Could not miss it. Could not have been somebody else's ball. How did this ball become whole again? Please let me know your thoughts, and don't think I'm crazy. I promise you, this happened.
How nice must that be to like have this problem of another broken soccer ball and you're annoyed because you have to go buy another one, and then the problem just solves itself? I mean, obviously, if both of the balls that his name was written on were oval-shaped and broken, it's impossible that this ball also has his name on it and it is no longer broken, because there was never a third one. She hadn't gotten it yet. So that really makes me think that somehow there's some switch in timelines, some glitch in the matrix that somehow caused this ball to maybe come over from a different timeline where it either wasn't broken yet or had never broken. There was just some weird glitch and the ball appeared fixed. It was fixed, problem solved, and I think, I don't know, that'd be a relief if I were her. Our next TikTok's by the user Sharistan Studios.
Okay, ignore the fact that my hair looks like I'm about to audition for Annie. I'm pretty sure that I'm experiencing a glitch in the matrix. Let me explain. I am coming home on my lunch break to prove to you guys that I have something I should not have. Okay, I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see a news article that says a tractor trailer truck overturned, and it had a bunch of monkeys in it. These monkeys were infected with herpes, COVID, and hepatitis C. In the comment section of this news article about these monkeys, this guy named Justin says people on the streets are getting diseases from monkeys. Excuse the fact that it's so dark back here. So I respond in the comment section, leave those poor sick monkeys alone. They got problems enough as it is. Both of those are Flight of the Conchords lyrics from a song called Thinking About It. Think about it. Why is any of that important? Well, because that song was introduced to me by a high school friend called Marie. Marie is a musical connoisseur. This girl loves music, is great with music, and she made me every mixed CD that I still have and hold near and dear to my heart. All the mixed CDs Marie gave me and made me in high school are sitting in this little booklet that I just took off the bookshelf at my house on my lunch break between work. We're about to go back to my car so we can talk about that. Okay, so just so all of this will make sense, I went to high school from the year 2004 to 2007. My friend Marie, she was in high school a year before me. So she went to school from 2003 and graduated in 2006. When Marie graduated high school, she ended up going to ASU, which is nowhere near Missouri. We both lived in Missouri at the time. I have very strong visceral memories of the mixed CDs that she gave me in high school and where I listened to this music the most. Now, the Flight of the Conchords song, Think About It, Think About It, that was brought back to my memory today from this Facebook post about the diseased monkeys on the highway, that was on my purple CD. I called it my purple CD because the ink lettering was a combination of dark pink / purple and lavenders that she wrote the titles in. Here is that mix CD she made me. Now, that last song at the bottom, that is the song that was referenced in the Facebook post today. This CD was created for me no earlier than 2004, because remember, I didn't start high school until 2004, and no later than 2006, because that's when Marie graduated high school. And obviously she was in Arizona when she left and was no longer making me and handing me mixed CDs. So that means that this song, number 20 on this CD, had to have been burned on this CD before the year 2006, May 2006 specifically, in order for it to be in my hands right now. Also, I went to Young Life Camp when I was a teenager. And that summer when I went, we had a really long bus drive to Colorado. And I remember playing number 15 and number 17 over and over again on the bus ride to Colorado to put myself to sleep, because those were both pretty relaxing songs for me. So all the way through Kansas, I was listening to Cascade and Matt Costa over and over and over again, a little minus the bear, but just sleepy time stuff to get myself in a zone. And I listened to that song again until Kansas turned into Little Mountain Peaks. And then I was like, yay, we're in Colorado. I mean, to be fair, we were like deep in Colorado, because the first part of eastern Colorado, it basically just looks like Kansas. But you know what I mean. When you go and Google Flight of the Conchords, Think About It song, it says that that song was not released until 2008 on Spotify. Now, we all know that sometimes YouTube and Spotify has the publishing information wrong, because it's just based on when the person actually uploaded it to that site. Fair enough. I go to Google because I'm like, no, there's no way that that was debuted and released in 2008. I was already in college in 2008. And as we discussed, this booklet is full of high school burned CDs that stopped happening when Marie graduated in 2006. So, and at the very latest, 2007, when I graduated high school, right? There are some other friends that gave me some burned CDs that weren't Marie, but Marie has very distinct artistic style and handwriting. So this is one of Marie's burned CDs she gave me. So, how can this Flight of the Conchords song be on this burnt CD from high school if the song itself was not released until I was well into college? What does that mean? And if you're thinking, okay, Sheriston, well, the Flight of the Conchords CD is actually based on the Flight of the Conchords show, correct. And I remember this. I also went and I Googled that just in case. I was like, well, maybe the Flight of the Conchords show is like the Mighty Boosh, so it's been around like way longer than we think it has. No. Flight of the Conchords television show apparently debuted a year before they released this song in 2007. Mind you, though, it says June 17th, 2007, which is an entire month after I've graduated high school, which still means that there's no way that this song would have ended up on a CD and in this booklet, because the entire television show would not have existed until after I was out of high school. Glitch in the Matrix.
Okay, let me know if you have any explanation for this at all, but I think that that is such a cool, like, there's so much evidence of the glitch. If this song is on that CD that was created before the song came out, before the show that the song could have been from existed, like, how do you even explain that? I mean, if you know that the CD was from this time period and this time period happened before the song existed, how do you explain that? I mean, I'm not familiar with the show, I'm not familiar with the song, so maybe someone who is can explain that if they have a better memory of that time. In 2006, I was 5 years old, so I have zero recollection of any of this happening. But if you're familiar with the song or the show from that time period and can give a little insight and maybe debunk this, I would appreciate any information you can give. But I don't know, I really think it's crazy that she has a CD that she, again, knows is from a certain time, but the song didn't exist yet. How do you explain that if not for a glitch in the Matrix? Our next two TikToks are by the user, my fave food is pasta.
I went on a trip to California that still freaks me out to this day, so I'm gonna tell you all about it. It was August of 2023. My friend and I were going to Disneyland to celebrate my birthday. We flew into California on the 21st, and we were supposed to fly home the 26th. The first night that we were there, it was a normal night. We checked into our hotel, we went to dinner, and then we just went to bed because we had an early day at Disney, and the next day is when stuff started to get really weird. We started our first day off in Disneyland and we planned to go Disneyland California Adventure for the 4 days that we were there, and we also had park hoppers, but at the time you could only park hop starting at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I believe. When we got to Disneyland on our first day, I remember that one of the first things we wanted to do was get an energy drink after we had eaten breakfast because we knew we were going to need it to keep our stamina up throughout the day. I was complaining to my friend that they never had any of the Monster flavors that I liked, that I loved the sugar-free watermelon Monsters. They always just had the Ultra Zero Monster or the original black and green Monster, and we kept looking around to see if there was any other options, but sure enough, everywhere we went, those were the two options that they had. So we ended up just buying one of those and moving on with our day. As we continued throughout our first day, we kept seeing twins everywhere. We were kind of laughing it off because it wasn't really that big of a deal, but it was kind of odd because we kept seeing twins that were not only identical twins in the way that they looked, but they also were dressed identical. And it wasn't just the kids, it was the adults also, which was kind of odd. Later that night when we were heading back to our hotel, we wanted to stop at CVS and get some snacks and some travel size toothpaste because we were worried that we were going to run out of the little toothpaste that we did still have left. So we went to CVS and we actually asked a worker if they had a travel section because we could not find a travel section full of mini toiletries anywhere, and the employee that we asked said no, we only have full-sized items, and he showed us where we could go and get toothpaste from, and then we headed back to our hotel for the night. The next day we started our day at California Adventure and we still kept seeing twins everywhere, and that's when we were starting to get a little freaked out because not only had we seen so many sets of twins the day before, but we were still continuing to see them, and it could have just been one of those things where because we noticed them so much the day before, we were still noticing them, but it definitely stuck out to us more on the second day. And later in the afternoon when we were able to park hop over to Disneyland, we went to Disneyland and we were kind of dragging, so we decided we wanted to get more energy drinks, and the first spot that we went to get an energy drink from had watermelon zero sugar Monsters. All of a sudden they had them right after I was complaining that they didn't have them, but I still was just kind of trying to brush it off because I didn't think that it was for me, but it just felt really odd. And as we continued walking, every single area that sold a sugar-free Monster, the flavor that they had was watermelon. Everywhere. That was one of the first really weird things that I still will never forget to this day. But then when we were walking back to our hotel that night, we decided to stop at CVS again because we wanted to get more snacks and we wanted to get some water. So we go to CVS and we pick out some snacks, we grab our water, and we go to check out. And as we are walking towards the checkout, there is an entire section full of mini travel toiletries. An entire section. And that I still can't explain it to this day, and it sounds so unbelievable. And we even actually checked our bank accounts to make sure it was CVS that we went to the night before, because there's also a Walgreens across the street, and sure enough, it was CVS. We were at CVS and we had been at CVS the night before, and all of a sudden there was a travel section. The next day was my birthday, and it just didn't really feel like my birthday. The whole vibe just kind of fell off and the whole day just felt really weird, but nothing super significant happened. My friend did have a ring that she lost the stone in, and I was wearing some earrings and I lost the stone in one of my earrings, which was kind of odd. And we were still seeing twins because that didn't stop our whole entire trip. But other than that, the weird vibe just stuck. The next day we started in California Adventure, so we get to the park and we go to California Adventure to scan in for the day. And when we go to scan in, they tell us that we actually start our day in Disneyland, which we were so confused about because we had double, triple, quadruple checked, and the whole entire time leading up to the trip and while we were on the trip, we knew that our plan was to go Disney, California, so it made no sense to us that on our last day that was supposed to be California Adventure, they were telling us we were supposed to start in Disneyland. So that just kind of threw off the whole day because we were just really confused. Those had not been the plans that we had been looking at over and over and over again. Later that night, as we were walking back to our hotel on our final night in California, I got a notification from our airline that our flight that was supposed to leave Saturday the 26th at 1 p.m. had actually been pushed to later that night, Saturday evening, which was kind of annoying, but it was fine because then we just had more time in California the next day. So we go back to our hotel and we end up just going going to bed. And then when we wake up in the morning to pack all of our stuff to get ready to go, I go in the bathroom. I had packed all my clothes and I just had my toiletries. And as I was going to pack my toiletries, I had packed up everything, and then I saw one of my lip glosses on the counter, and I was kind of confused because I didn't think I'd brought that lip gloss. I hadn't used it the whole trip, and it's a lip gloss that I own that really tastes horrible, and I don't even know why I still had it at that point, but I just threw it in my toiletry bag. And then I went in the bedroom again to see if my friend was done packing, and she had told me, yes, I'm done, but you forgot your lip gloss. And I looked at her and I was kind of confused because I was like, well, I just packed a lip gloss, but maybe it's another one. And then she picks it up and hands it to me, and it was the same exact lip gloss that I had just packed, but it was brand new. It had never been opened. So I told her, this isn't my lip gloss. I have that lip gloss, but I just packed it. And so I went to grab it out of my toiletry bag to show her that I had already packed it. And all of a sudden there was 2 lip glosses in my toiletry bag. The one that was opened, and then there was another one that was not open that was also brand new in the package. So there was 2 in my toiletry bag. She's holding one. All of a sudden there's 3 of this lip gloss that I absolutely can't even stand. 2 brand new in packages, and 1, my old one that I've clearly used. And that still just freaks me out. It still freaks me out. It makes no sense. And I still have all 3 lip glosses somewhere. After the lip gloss debacle, I ended up getting another notification from the airline that our flight now was not leaving that night, but it was actually delayed until the next morning at that point. So I was super annoyed because we had to get another night in a hotel. We ended up switching hotels, and when we got to the new hotel, I remembered that I had a friend who was actually supposed to be flying into the same airport on the same airline and the same airplane that was supposed to be the airplane we were taking back to Utah. So I texted her and I said, hey, are you having issues with your flight also? And then she texts me back right away and said, I'm going to call you. It has been an absolute shit show. She calls me and tells me that Friday night they had been getting texts about their flight being moved up on Saturday morning, so they ended up going to the airport early Saturday morning to see what the heck was going on. And when they got there, they're told, yes, your flight has been moved up. So eventually they boarded the plane on the earlier flight, and they ended up unboarding everyone just minutes later because the flight had less than half the passengers on it. And then 2 hours later they boarded them again, and then they took off with still less than half the passengers because the flight was leaving early, which does not happen. This whole situation was so confusing to us at the time, and it's probably confusing to you as you are listening, and it still to this day does not really make sense to me, and I can't wrap my head around what exactly even happened. But my friend and her husband landed in California, and she actually talked to the pilot because she was still leaving the plane, and the pilot says, yes, this plane is going back to Utah in 20 minutes, and it probably is the flight your friend is supposed to be on because it's the only flight leaving this weekend, and then we don't have any other flights until next week. So the plane takes off. We're not on it. Lots of people also weren't on it because not only did it leave early, but everyone's apps are still showing them that it's delayed until Sunday. So called Orange County Airport to see if they knew anything that was going on because I couldn't get a hold of the airline, and they told me that they also could not get a hold of the airline. And not only that, but there was no airline employees at the airline's desk, and air traffic control was not seeing any of their planes in the sky. What the hell? Later that night, I checked the airline app again, and sure enough, it shows us as checked in, and then the flight completely disappeared off of the app not too long after that because according to the airline, we were on that flight safe and sound back in Utah, even though we are still in California. So the next day, we ended up renting a car and driving home because flights were way too expensive. And that's pretty much the whole entire story. I'm no longer friends with the girl that I went on that trip with, and I kind of, looking back on it, think that maybe that was the universe's way of telling me that weird things happen when I'm with this chick and I probably shouldn't keep hanging out with her. The last 3 weeks have felt so insanely weird and heavy, and I don't know what's going on, but I literally feel like I'm living in a simulation right now. So I'm going to tell you some of my weirdest glitch in the Matrix stories that have happened to me, starting off with the first 2 that kind of coincide with each other, and they have to do with multiplying items at Christmas time. A couple years ago for Christmas, when Stanleys were super popular, I wanted to get my mom 2 Stanley cups, so I got on their website. I had never ordered from them before, and I ordered her a pink one and a black one. I got my confirmation email, mail and everything was confirmed exactly the way I ordered it. 1 pink cup, 1 black cup. When the package came in the mail about a week and a half later, I wanted to open them so I could look at them in person, and I opened the first one and it's the pink one, and then I go to open the second one and it's also pink. So I check my order again. I make sure I did order a pink and a black one. I did, and that's what the order said that had been delivered, was a pink one and a black one. So I was super confused, and I went to contact Stanley customer support, and then I hadn't heard back from anyone. So the next day I'm just hanging doing my thing. I go outside at one point and I see another Stanley package. So I open that Stanley package and it's the black Stanleys. So I ended up with 2 pink Stanleys, 1 black Stanley, but that's actually not the weirdest part of the story. I go to wrap the cups for Christmas, and my plan, since I ended up with 2 pink Stanleys and a black one, was to still give my mom a pink one, a black one, and then I was gonna give my mom's best friend a pink one as well, because their family, we always see them on Christmas, and I needed a gift to give her, so it kind of worked out perfectly. But come Christmas morning, as we are taking turns going in a circle opening our presents, I can recognize the Stanley packages. I had my mom's friends set aside to take to her later, and my mom goes to open her first Stanley, and it is a pink Stanley, and she was super excited. And then later we open some more gifts. She gets another Stanley package and she goes to open it, and it's another pink Stanley. So at this point I thought that I had just mixed up her black one with her friend's pink one. So I go to open her friend's present just to see if they got mixed up, and sure enough, I open her friend's and it's also pink. So now there is 3 pink Stanleys, and I was so confused. Everyone saw me kind of freaking out, very confused at what was happening. There was another box that fit the Stanley cup sizing, and so I had my mom open that one, and it was the black one. So somehow at that point we ended up with 3 pink Stanleys and a black Stanley, and still to this day I have no idea what happened. The next story also has to do with that same Christmas, and it has to do with a gift that I bought my friend that celebrated Christmas with us. So I was at the dollar store with my cousin about a month before Christmas. I saw these really fun iced coffee flavors that I hadn't seen before. They had a Twix iced coffee, an Oreo iced coffee, and then a Twinkie iced coffee, and then they had some really weird flavor also, like Skittles or something, but I didn't get that one because I thought that would not be good. So I decided to get my friend 4, and I remember that I grabbed her 2 Twinkie, 1 Twix, and 1 Oreo. A couple weeks later, I go to wrap them, and I believe my friend was helping me wrap presents at this time, so she'll have to comment if she watches this and see if she remembers this situation in real time and me freaking out. But I have the dollar store bag along with all my other presents that I need to wrap, and I go to pull out the iced coffees to wrap them for my friend, and the first one I pull out was a Twinkie, and then the second one I pulled out was another Twinkie, which I had gotten 2, so it was fine. But then when I go to pull out the next 2, they are also Twinkies. So there was 4 Twinkies and 1 Twix and no Oreo, because I did pull out a Twix one as well, but somehow I went from having 4 coffees to having 5 coffees, 4 of which were Twinkies and 1 that was a Twix. And on Christmas morning, when my friend opened them, I remember telling her and everyone else doing Christmas with us about the situation, and they all were kind of shocked too. I don't know if they believed me, but I know what I saw. That's all that matters. This last story is more of a coincidence rather than an entire glitch in the Matrix, but it was such a crazy coincidence that I will never forget about it. Back when I used to work at a hair school along with my best friend Natalie, there was another girl that worked with us named Holly, and none of us really saw each other's faces because it was COVID time and we still had to wear masks, but Holly kind of stood out because she had this really beautiful long curly hair. One day when I was working with Holly, we were talking about our families and everything, and she had mentioned that she had a twin sister, and I was just kind of surprised. I didn't know that she had a twin, and that was some exciting information for me to learn about her, because if you see my other glitch in the Matrix videos, for some reason twins are something that just are in my life a lot, and I don't really know why. Not too long after finding out Holly had a twin, my friend Natalie, who also worked at the hair school, along with myself and my mom, were at Hobby Lobby, and we were shopping and talking. And as we were getting ready to check out and walking towards the checkout and getting in line, I was telling Natalie about me finding out that Holly had a twin, and Natalie just said, "Oh yeah, I didn't know that you didn't know she had a twin. Like, she does have a twin. I've never met her twin, but I know her name is Ashley." And I said, "Oh, that's really funny." And my mom said, "Who are you guys talking about?" And we said, "Oh, just this girl that we work with. We found out that she had a twin sister." And I noticed that the girl standing in front of us also had really curly hair, just like Holly. And so I remember making note in my mind thinking that that was kind of funny. And as we were talking, all of a sudden the girl in front of us turns around and she goes, "Are you talking about Holly Anderson?" And we're like, "Yes." And she takes off her mask and goes, "I'm her twin, Ashley." And me and Natalie and my mom all just kind of stood there in awe. We were so surprised. We couldn't believe what a coincidence that was. And then not only that, but we ended up putting two and two together that my mom actually knew both Holly and Ashley because they used to go into the place she worked at all the time. So just a really crazy story that I will never forget. And those are all of my stories for today, but I also have way more that I can tell you. So if you want to hear the other ones, comment down below.
I for sure think if there were issues with that friend and they're no longer friends and it seems like weird things follow her, that's just proof that some people you just shouldn't be friends with. Weird things follow them, and even though nothing bad happened in the end, it was more just annoyances and weird things. Some people I think just have this energy that they're constantly affecting the universe in maybe not so great ways. And if you are constantly running into issues with this person, maybe that's a sign that you should take a step back from them. The Stanley story, however, is crazy. I mean, the fact that the first it could be written off. Maybe Stanley sent 2 of the pink Stanley and 1 of the black one. Just sent an extra pink one. That could absolutely happen, especially if it's around the holidays, there's a rush, they can make mistakes. It reminds me, I need to go to Pottery Barn because Pottery Barn sent me a robe without a tie, so the robe is essentially useless. But my point being, mistakes happen around the holidays when there's a rush and people are buying things. But the fact that she wrapped 3 Stanleys, 2 for her mom, 1 for her mom's friend, and then somehow on Christmas there are 4 wrapped Stanleys, 3 of them pink and 1 of them black. That's insane. I don't know how you explain that other than a glitch in the Matrix. It's like things are duplicating and it still could be an error on Stanley's end for the first original 2. But once they're wrapped and under the tree and she knows she only had 3 of them, how do you explain the 4th? That's just insane. But the fact that then it happens again with the Twinkies and the Twix and the Oreos, it's like, I don't know, it's like the universe just has some kind of a joke where it's like she buys things for people and it messes with the quantities. I mean, that's ridiculous, but it's just it's so hilarious that it's happened to her twice, and also just like, it's fascinating. She's just getting more than she paid for. I'd love to get more than I paid for. That would be phenomenal. But it's so weird that this has happened on multiple occasions to her. Our next TikTok's with user Reese's Buttercup.
We just had a glitch in the Matrix. We ordered Burger King, and literally when we got the order, the bag was like very light. And I told my niece, I was like, the bag is really light. And she's like, yeah. And we ordered like Whopper, chicken nuggets, fries, onion rings. And that should have been like, it felt like maybe we had a chicken nugget in the bag. It didn't feel like there was anything.
It really felt like this empty bag with maybe like a nugget, like really light.
And so we opened it up and all the food was there. And so I cut the hamburger and my niece was like, did they give us any sauces? I was like, no sauces. And she was like, I really need some ranch. And I cut the burger, I ate a bite and I was like, there's ranch on the sandwiches, it's nasty.
Mind you though, I was looking for some sauces in the Airbnb, so I saw ketchup. And then I was like, I wish they had ranch. And that's when she was like, oh, there's ranch on the burger, but it's nasty. I come around, I was like, okay, I'll give it a try.
I go to pick up the burger and I was like, bro, this is weird. Like my burger, not one bite.
Not one bite. And she's like, smell my breath. I can smell her breath. It smells exactly how I ate it. It smells just like the bacon, like cheeseburger, cheese, onion. But there was no bite on it. No bite.
And so we both were looking, I was like, bro, I'm not crazy. Like,
no,
I took a bite of it. I told you that I told you that the sauce is nasty. And I know we sound crazy right now. I'm like, oh, you're just crazy. But no, it's wild. So we think we had a glitch in the Matrix.
Definitely. Definitely.
And the crazy part is we think that the bag was so light when we got it because this is all we ate. We still have food left. We think our leftovers of the food is the weight of the bag that we initially had. But even so, like, if we put all the leftovers together, it would probably be a little bit more heavier than the bag that we had.
You know something? It was, I mean, we're going to still eat it, right? But it was definitely off, and we're not tripping. You know if you know.
Let us know if you ever had a glitch in the Matrix that is like this.
I was tagged in this one a couple times, and I'll be honest, part of me is a little bit confused between the bag feeling like it only had a little bit in it, but then it actually had a lot in it, but then they were missing the sauces. Like, I feel like the whole thing's like a little bit confusing, but also, I don't know, like I'm not sure if this is a glitch in the Matrix or just like, I don't know, them misjudging the situation. To me this one, it seems a little odd, and I'm not entirely sure I can say that yes, this is a glitch in the Matrix. However, I am weirded out by the fact that they were so excited about this ranch that they didn't get, but then they're talking about the ranch on the burger is weird. Also, I don't think it's a glitch in the Matrix, but I think it's weird that why would the ranch in the cup be different than the ranch on the burger? That's my only thoughts on this one, to be honest. So let me know your thoughts. I don't know, this one's interesting. It's kind of weird. Our next TikTok is from the user Abby's Mom 1019. And no, this is not my mom. This is some other Abby's mom.
Okay, so I have a glitch in the Matrix story. It's crazy. 10 years ago, I was dating this guy. And, we made plans for him to come over one evening because my daughter was going to be away at a friend's house. She was going to stay the night at her friend's, and it was just me and my daughter. So I'm going to be home alone. I make these plans. I'm like, whatever, come over at whatever time. And before he got there, I wanted to take a quick bath. So I'm in the bathtub. He texts that he's going to be there in 5-10 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I got to make it quick, whatever. So I'm in the bathtub and I hear his truck on the road in front of my house, and I literally hear it pull in the driveway. There was my driveway was gravel, so I hear him pull in, right? And then I hear my door open. Now I had left it unlocked, but I closed it. So in order to open it, you literally have to turn the handle and push it. So anyway, I hear that happen. I hear the door handle turn. It even had a noise. I don't know, it was just an old door, whatever, it had a noise. And I hear the noise of the doorknob turning and the door push open. But then I don't hear anything else. And I'm like, hey, I'm in the bathtub. I'll be out in a minute. Just wait for me in the living room, whatever. So I start to get out. I start to get ready. And then I hear his truck again. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. What? Okay, that's weird. And I'm like, whatever, I'm, getting ready, getting dressed, whatever. And I hear the screen door chunk, chunk, I don't know, whatever noise that makes. And I literally hear him boom, 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 walk up the steps. And I'm a little weirded out, but I kind of yell out the same thing, hey, wait for me in the living room. I'll be out, whatever. So as I'm getting ready, I sort of put that out of my head because I'm focused on getting ready. And I go out to the living room. I'm like, hey, thanks for, I'm so happy to see you, whatever. And I was like, hey, weird question. When you got here, was the door closed? The, actual door, not the screen door. I'm like, was the actual back door closed? He was like, no, it was open. I just had to open the screen door. And my eyes went wide and I had this wave of terror come over me. And I was like, somebody is in the house. We gotta go check. I'll take the downstairs. You check up here, whatever. So I run down the basement steps and I'm checking in all the nooks and crannies. I don't see anybody. I hear him upstairs walking around, checking rooms, whatever. So I come padding back up the basement steps and I see him in the hallway, and I'm going to try to reenact what he looked like. He was like this, just freaking out. He looked white, like he couldn't talk. And I'm like, what did you find? Like, what's going on? And he's like, where were you? And I was like, I was in the basement. He was like, the whole time you were in the basement, you just came up. I'm like, yes, what is going on? He goes, I just saw you walk into your bedroom and I thought it would be funny to come up from behind you and scare you. I saw you crouch down as if you were looking under the bed for something or somebody, you know, because we were checking for intruders. He goes, I saw you crouch down and I started to come up like to scare you. Then I hear you walking up the basement steps. My head turns, I turn back. The you that I saw is gone. And now you're here. And what the hell just happened? And so we were actually really freaked out. Like, we were so creeped out. And then I proceed to tell him about, I heard your truck, like driving in front of my house, come up the driveway. I heard the doorknob go and the door open. What? And then I heard you again. I heard you arrive again. Whatever. It was like 3 or 4 minutes after that, in between the arrival of the first, I don't know, doppelganger. I don't know. And then when he actually arrived, and we actually slept in the living room that night because we were so freaked out, not only by, like, you know, me hearing him arrive, but he actually didn't arrive, and then him seeing my doppelganger. We were freaked. We were freaked. So that's my my glitch in the Matrix story. I've never had anything happen like that since, and I had never had anything happen like that before. It was just weird.
I mean, I'd be paranoid like they were that someone has broken into the house, that there is a human, like a physical human being that has broken into the house because she left the door unlocked. But it seems like it is either a glitch in the Matrix or maybe something paranormal. After they searched the house, after he like swears that he saw her, maybe it could be a mimic and it is something paranormal, or it could be some weird glitch. I don't know. I think that is so freaky. I mean, personally, for me, I would never leave the door unlocked, just in general, but also if I'm like in a vulnerable position of taking a bath, I would not leave the door unlocked. But it's so, like, what happened here? She hears him enter twice, but he only entered the second time. It has to be a glitch, or it has to be something paranormal. I'd be curious to know if she's experienced something similar like this before, and then I'd lean more towards paranormal. But if he saw her, maybe it was a glitch, like the timelines were overlapping, and I don't know, but this is weird. Our next TikTok's by the user, The Valiant Life.
Okay, I have a glitch in the Matrix time jump story that I still cannot figure out, and I need help figuring it out. Side note, I have a lot of stories, and I'm actually excited that I have a place to share all of this and not sound like a crazy person, but I'm starting with like the not so scary stories. So the year's 2021. It is just like the last story that I posted. I'm now realizing weird things happen in 2021. But this time it's in January. It's in the beginning of the year. And my husband and I have a conversation. We make a decision that he's going to quit his job just because it's better for our family overall. So it's a big leap, but we trust in the universe. We think it's going to be fine. God's got us. And whenever we make big decisions like that, we like to go to Utah to decompress, specifically Moab. But since it's January and we can't really camp in Moab, I mean, it'll just be like really cold and stuff. We're like, you know what? Let's go to Capitol Reef National Park. We've only been there once. We'd love to go back. It's not that much further down the road. And we can just go get a hotel. So we end up booking 2 nights at this hotel near Capitol Reef. It's in Torrey, Utah. And our first night, we just hang out. And then the next morning, we decide to go for a swim in the hot tub. And then by around 11 o'clock, we're like, let's go get something to eat at a nearby cafe. So I have the proof for this because it's in my camera roll. Around 11:30, I take a picture of this like Nutella toast fruit thing that I have. So we eat, and then I think closer to noon, we decide, okay, let's leave now, and then let's go for a hike. But when we get out to the parking lot and we get in our truck doesn't start. So this wasn't a complete surprise to us because for the past couple of weeks there was some like issue with like the starter or something. I don't fully understand what it was, but my husband knew what it was and he's like, damn, now it's getting really bad. We really need to get this fixed. So he eventually gets the car started again. And then we decide to drive to, I think it was called Richfield, Utah, which is about an hour away from Torrey. And they had an O'Reilly's Auto Parts there. So we make that drive. We get to O'Reilly's. My husband goes inside and I make a note. So whenever I see 11s, I'm like, oh, you know, 11s are a big deal. If you watch my last video, I talk about how my husband and I got married on 11/11 and everything happened that was weird was on that day. So I look at the clock and I'm like, oh, it's 1:11. Okay, cool. So we go about the day. My husband is trying to fix this thing. I take a picture of him under the truck at 1:21. So it's 10 minutes after 1:11. So the hours go by and I'm, you know, our son is with us. I'm trying to keep him, you know, engaged. We're walking around. We're doing whatever we can. The hours go by. My husband's really struggling with something. He like couldn't get out. I don't know. But anyways, I start to panic because the sun starts to go down, right? It's been a few hours now. And I distinctly remember looking at the time and it was 5:11. Okay. So I'm like, oh, another 11, 5:11. So I'm like, babe, the sun's going down. Like it's sunset. I'm starting to freak out. If you don't get this done soon, like we might be like stuck here in this parking lot. You're gonna need, like, it's gonna be dark and it's going to suck. So I just Googled what time is sunset in Utah in January, and Google said between 5 to 5:30 p.m. Okay, so this was the time that we were there. Sun's going down. And my husband finally gets everything fixed, like, as the sun is going down. So if the sun is going down, it can't be more than 6 or 6:30. I don't know, like, what time dusk is, right? But, like, sun is still, like, there's still daylight. So we get in the truck and we're like ready to get back to the hotel, which is about an hour away. We're like, okay, we'll grab dinner when we get back, blah, blah, blah. So I remember that as we were driving, that's when it started to get dark. And it was just like a 2-lane road. Like it's not like a main freeway, a highway or anything. And it was so dark and there was like nobody around, like no one. Maybe I think we saw like one car come towards us in the drive, in the opposite direction, but other than that there was just like there's nobody. It was kind of creepy also because like we don't really know the area. And as we get back into town, I look at the time and it's 9:11. So I'm just like, oh damn, it's 9:11. Like first I'm like, oh shit, there's another 11, but then also I'm like, oh my god, everything is closed. Like how are we going to get dinner? The weird thing is, when all of this was happening, I wasn't like, wait a damn minute, how was it 9 o'clock? Or like, oh, did something get messed up with like the clock? You know, when you unplug the battery or whatever, did you unplug the battery? I don't even know. There wasn't a question. It was literally just like, oh damn, it's 9:11. Like, shoot, everything closes at 9 o'clock. So we decided to just keep driving. We drove past the hotel and I think there was from my memory, like a little, there was another shop where you could eat at. There was just like a couple little things in the area and everything was closed. So we go back to the hotel and their restaurant in the hotel also closes at 9. So there's still a couple people inside that are like finishing up, but like they're not serving food anymore. So we're like, damn, we can't even eat dinner anymore. But like the weirdest thing, I wasn't even like, wait, how was it 9 o'clock? Like that, it didn't even occur. So my husband and I decide, we had a cooler with like hot dogs or something, and we had our Traeger in the back of our truck. So we were just like, okay, well, let's just cook something on the back of the Traeger. We'll like move the truck far into the parking lot and then we'll just cook in the back of the truck so that we have something to eat for dinner. And I have a picture of us in the parking lot, and by this time it's like way past, we were outside and I took a picture around 10:30 p.m. So I know I wasn't tripping. I know it wasn't just like this, like the clocks were wrong or whatever. Like we didn't start eating until after 10 p.m. How the hell, where did the time go? Like that's what I don't understand. If we had left Richfield. I really hope that's the name of the place. Around 6 p.m., 6:30 at the latest. Why the hell did we not get to Torrey until 9 p.m.? That doesn't make any... It was not a 3-hour drive. It was supposed to be a 1-hour drive. What happened? We literally lost time. And what was weird is that we weren't weirded out by it. Like, initially, we're just kind of like, oh, okay, damn, now we can't get dinner. It was just like, no, we think back to it, like, me and my husband talk about it, like, I don't understand. The only thing, like, in the way that my brain works and how I have just a belief in, like, the paranormal and just, like, how the universe is just something we don't, like, fully understand, is that we chose a path. We weren't supposed to be on this path. And the universe had to, like, rearrange itself in order to get us on this next path that we were supposed to be on. And honestly, after 2021, our lives got, like, so freaking weird. And we ended up on a path that we just did not think we'd be on. I mean, I live in freaking Texas. This is so random. So, help me out. I'm not crazy. Right, okay.
I mean, honestly, I would believe it. There are weird things that happen in the middle of nowhere, whether you're in the desert, in the middle of a forest. I think that glitches are more prone to happening in the middle of nowhere. If it's like, I feel like energy can just gather there. There's not as many different people affecting the energy because it's more secluded. I'm just kind of like tossing things out here, but you hear so many weird things happening in the middle of the forest or in the middle of the desert. I mean, Utah, from what I've heard, is also like just an odd place. So who knows, like, what kind of energy there is going on in the middle of the Utah desert? If there's like different creatures and entities, I don't know. Or it could just be a very basic kind of a time glitch. Our next TikTok's by the user, Nat's About Life.
Do you want to hear the weirdest glitch in the Matrix thing that ever happened to me? Then listen. So last year, I'm a wedding photographer. Last year, I had a wedding that was about 2 hours away from home. Now, when I got in the car, the heavens literally opened, and it was pretty much the most biblical storm I have ever seen. Like, the rain was just coming down so hard, and the sky just, it was unreal colors. It was this blue, black, yellow, white, pink. There was like lightning everywhere. Lightning literally stroke, like lightning hit like right in front of me while I was driving on the motorway and everything. So while I'm driving home, I'm thinking to myself, it's so crazy that I wouldn't be surprised if my boyfriend, who is not like this, called me and was like, please be careful out there because this is crazy, like this weather is just mental. But I kind of just thought to myself, he wouldn't, because that's not the kind of person he is. Like, yes, he wants to make sure that I'm safe, but he wouldn't just call me because like the sky looks crazy. So anyway, so I'm driving home, sort of giggled at this, and then forgot about it for about an hour and a half. Now, I get to the end of the motorway, and then it's about 25 minutes home from the motorway. And just as I'm coming off, he calls me, and he's like, where are you? And I'm like, oh, I literally just got off the motorway, so I'll be about 25 minutes. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, like, of course I'm sure. I'm literally in the car driving. And he's like, okay, don't freak out, but I am freaked out. And I'm like, okay, this is weird, because I had this weird thought about him calling me before. And he goes, so I was in the garage. So essentially we have like a house, garage next to it. There's a little door to the garden in between that's always locked, because obviously we have 2 dogs and we don't want them to run away. And Bear, the Romanian dog, is a troublemaker and he runs away whenever he can. So it's always locked on the latch, always. So he goes, so I was in the garage and I could just hear you being like, baby, which I know it's you because A, no one talks like that, B, it's your accent, and 3, it was your voice. And then the gate just opened. And I'm like, what do you mean the gate just opened? He's like, well, the door just opened. So I thought it sounded like you when you are excited about something or you need my help. You're like, baby. So I look out and you're not there. So I look like outside on the street and you're not there, and your car is not there, and you are like not here. But he's like, but I genuinely know that I heard you. Like, there's not a shadow of a doubt on my mind that there was anyone on the road, because they couldn't go as quickly away. Also, we have cameras no one on the camera. So he says this, and I'm a bit like, okay, this is weird. I am kind of a little bit uncomfortable now, because I had this weird thought about you calling me to be careful before, and now this is happening. Not exactly, like, I'm not feeling great. So I decided to drive home so carefully. Like, I think I'm a pretty good driver, and I normally drive quite fast, but I was like, I'm just gonna, and if I feel even anything tiny bit wrong, I'm just gonna fucking stop. So I'm on this long road that is maybe like a 4 or 5 miles of just a straight road. Like, there's quite a bit of, like, it's a switchback or whatever, and it goes up and down, but it's all straight. There's no corners or anything, and it ends with a massive roundabout that you can only go, from my side, you can only go over, or you can go left, which is into the Morrison's factory. So normally everyone who comes, especially on like a weekend evening, goes straight over, because the only people who go left are the big lorries that you could in theory see over the roundabout. So I'm driving, I'm coming towards the roundabout, and in my head I just had stop. So I quickly looked in my mirror and I just stopped straight away. Like, I didn't even question. Like, I feel like if it was any other day, I'd just be like, why? No. But I stopped, and literally as I stopped, a car came, absolutely bombing it down the road around the roundabout, driving towards me, realized that his side of the road is fully flooded, swerved into my side, and literally exactly where I would be if I didn't stop, that's where he swerved in. And he was going so fast there was no chance he could have stopped. Like, he either was going to go into the puddle, completely spin, crash into me, or just swerve into my way, or swerve out of the road. But somehow, because I stopped, we didn't crash. So I'm quite shaken, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? So I drive home, I call my boyfriend, and I'm like, okay, so this is weird. I feel like you calling me before was strange, and this just happened. And he's like, oh, okay, just drive carefully. So I'm like, fair, but like nothing else is gonna happen, right? So I drive home about 10 more minutes, and I get to like the end of the main road. I'm essentially like turning into the estate, and it's like a main road. It's like a 70 miles per hour road, and there's a traffic light to turn right. So I wait for my green light to go, light turns green, I'm about to go, and the same voice again went stop. So I didn't go, and literally as I didn't go, a car completely ran a red light and would crash into me exactly where I would be if I did go, if I didn't stop, if I didn't wait. So I get home. At this point I'm like shaking, and I'm like, did like some sort of me from a different dimension or from the future or something just went to shout at my boyfriend? Because that was probably the only thing he would call me, is if something freaked him out. And then he called me, and that freaked me out enough to listen to the voice in my head. Or what the hell just happened? So anyway, at this point I get home, and I'm just really like, what is going on? I'm confused. I'm not liking this at all. And I go cuddle the dogs. Like that, everyone's upstairs. So I go upstairs. I'm talking to my boyfriend about all of this. I'm like, okay, I'm seriously freaked out. Like, what the hell just happened? I'm playing with the dogs for about 20 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go downstairs and let the dogs out. So back then I still had my pizza Barker, who was my older stuffy, and I'm literally going down the stairs. So normally he would kind of go first and next to me, but for some reason that day he kind of decided to be like a little bit behind me. So I'm going, so it was me, then Peter Barker, and I think Dan was going after us, and then Bear was, or he was already down. He was like not part of this equation. So yeah, I'm going downstairs, and literally I just had this vision of feeling of baby falling down the stairs and taking me out, and I'm falling down the stairs and getting seriously hurt. And like the second I had this feeling, I kind of just took a step aside and just put my hand down, and as I put my hand down, I caught him falling down. Dan saw it all. My boyfriend saw it all, and he was like, what the fuck, I just saw you put a hand down, and literally as soon as it came down, he tripped and started falling down the stairs. So you caught him from literally falling down the entire flight of stairs, and if you didn't step aside, you would have gone as well. So I literally survived like 3 attempts on my life in about 20 minutes, 25, half an hour. And I still don't know what happened. I still don't know if it was my guardian angel, if it was I don't know who, or if it was me from some sort of different reality saving my life. But it was wild.
Thank God she listened to that voice. I don't know if it was a glitch in the Matrix or if it was just divine intervention because it was not her time. But thank God she listened to that voice, that she stopped when it told her to, because, I mean, that's crazy. First of all, like the 2 almost car accidents, almost being hit and being told to stop twice in a matter of a few minutes, and then almost falling down the stairs. I mean, I don't know what was against her that day, and then obviously what was for her, that so many things were happening to her, and then she was being stopped from being injured / potentially dying. But what an insane day. What an insane, like, hour of her life. That is so crazy. So I don't know if it was some kind of divine intervention or if it was a glitch. And I don't know, timelines were crossing and if there was some kind of manipulation or something, I don't know. But that is crazy that all happened in such a short time period. And I'm glad that she made it out of that, like, safely. Our next TikTok user, Ganja Starseed.
You know what? I was gonna wait to talk about this, and I don't know, just for a good time, because I've been busy. But you know what? I'm just gonna talk about this now. Because it's on my mind. Because the universe did some funny shit last night, and it made me remember the funny shit it did to me a month ago. Or was it 2 months ago? No, it was a month ago. About a little over a month ago. Whatever. So, basically, I now believe that we are living in the Matrix. We are living in a simulation. We are Sims. Unless there's like another logical explanation for it, because I just don't understand why this happened to me. Why I had to experience this not once, but twice. Sorry, I didn't put my earrings on, but let me tell y'all. So, I was staying with my bestie Westie, Giselle Welly. Hey, girl. And that was only because I got a week gap in between my leases, so I would have been homeless, and she was nice enough to let me stay in her place for a week. Love you, girl. Thank you again. I literally cried over it. She knows. Anyway, that's not the point. Okay, so this is the first night I'm staying with her, too. This is the first night. And so, obviously, I didn't really have any foods for myself because, like I said, it's my first night staying there for a week. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to, walk to the 7-Eleven real quick, and I'm getting me some pizza rolls. I'm going to get me some juicy juice and have them, call it a night. And she was like, oh, my God, no. You could just, you don't got to do all that. You could just have, this Arnold Palmer, Arizona, which, thank you, girl. And she was like, you can have this little mini pizza. And I was like, thank you, girl. And I think she gave me, some cheeses, too. So, my girl had me hooked. And so I was like, as I'm talking to her, saying I'm about to go to the 7-Eleven. Hold on. Because I talk with my hands a lot. So I literally was talking to her I'm about to go to the 7-Eleven, and I'm literally doing this. I'm literally waving. She'll literally tell you the same shit. She will tell you. I have my wallet in my hand like this. Okay? Period. And so I put it down. I forgot where I put it down at. I think it was on her desk or something. But I put it down because I'm not going to 7-Eleven to get some shit. So I didn't think I don't need it in my hand. Okay? So I ended up going outside to smoke too before I went to bed because I just felt like it. And she doesn't have smoke in her house, which that's her rules. I wasn't complaining. We're cool. So I went out, and this is part of the story. That's why I'm saying this. So, and I did not bring my wallet either outside, obviously, because, it's just smoking. I'm not buying anything, so why am I bringing my wallet? And so the next day, I'm trying to go to work. I'm looking for my wallet because it got my bus pass. It has my money in it, obviously. It has my ID. I'm looking at there where is she? Where is she? Where is it? I'm literally looking everywhere. Like, I'm looking on her desk. I'm looking behind her desk. I'm looking on her TV stand. I'm looking behind her TV stand / dresser. I'm looking under her bed. I didn't, like, look in her bed because, like, that's her shit. That's her business. I'm not trying to look through anybody's shit without asking them. And I was in a panic mode, so I didn't think to ask. But I'm just like, oh my God, where is it? Where is she? I can't find my wallet for shit. So luckily I still had cash on me that wasn't in my wallet, so I was able to get to work, whatever. I tell her, because she's already at work, I believe, and I tell her, I'm like, I can't find my wallet. Where is she? Where would she go? And she was like, oh shit. Like, I'll help you look for her when we get home. We literally get home, like, we get back to her home, like, after work. We cannot find it. Like, we cannot find it. And we both remember that I had it in my hand last night, which was the gag. That was the gag. We're like, where is she? So, we're literally just coming up with theories at this point, because we're like, where the fuck would it have gone? And then we're literally joking at this point. Like, when I tell you we were joking about where it could be at. And I was just like, oh, what if it's just, like, in your car? Ha, 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 ha. And then she's like, that would be so weird. And I'm like, thinking about it, I'm like, that actually would freak me the fuck out. I would start tripping out if it's in her car. I will literally start tripping out. I wouldn't even know what to do with myself. I swear to God, I wouldn't know what to do myself. So, you know, that's the end of that night. The next day, she's already at work, I believe. And, like, she had rubbled her boyfriend to go to work, I believe. Because, like, her car was still in the driveway. Not the driveway, but the parking lot. And so, you know, I'm going on my way to work. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just peek through her window. Just to entertain myself. Because I'm already kind of paranoid that it's in her car. I'm just going to entertain myself. I'm going to see if it's just in the car. I'm like, ain't no way it's in the car, because I had it in my hand. And I've not been in her car since that first night, too. Like, I've not been in her car since the first night. So it was like, what? And so I look in her car, and she got tinted windows, so I had to, like, really look in there. Tell me why my wallet was literally just placed in there. Like, it was sitting in, like, the door pocket. Like, it was placed carefully in there like this. Like, it was just carefully placed in there as if somebody put it there. And I know she ain't do it. I know I ain't do it. So who did it? Who did it? Because I'm confused. And I start freaking the fuck out. Like, I'm literally, bro, the way I wanted to blow up her phone, because ain't no way this shit happened. Like, ain't no way. I'm very confuzzled. I'm very confused. I'm very bewildered. I am very kerfuffled. I don't know. Like, I don't know. So I tell her, she's low-key freaking out too, because she remembers me having my wallet in my hand. Like, it is, and like, we're literally, when I tell you, we talk about this for probably like an hour, because we're actually so freaked out at this point. Like, it was just weird. It was weird as fuck. And I was like, you know what? This kind of proves life is a simulation. Like, I'm like being halfway serious, but also halfway joking, because I'm like, you know, there is a possibility that I forgot it in her car, but also there's no way in fuck, because I had it in my hand as I was talking to her. So that's why I'm like, I'm only half serious, half joking, because maybe we're both delusional. But then it happened again. It happened again, but with my Nintendo Switch this time. And this was when the week was over, when I was moving into my new apartment. So I pack all my stuff that I had in her place, which was my Nintendo Switch was part of it. And so I put it in my bag. And the way I put it in my bag, we're going to use my wallet again. But like, I put it in my bag like this. The screen facing like the front of the bag, right? Screen facing the front of the bag. I get home and I'm like, you know what? I'm bored. Let me play my Switch, right? Because like on my PS5 and my Xbox was still in the storage unit, so I didn't have any other games besides my Switch shit. So I was like, let me get my Nintendo Switch. I'm looking for it in my backpack, because I didn't unpack shit. I look for it in my backpack. I empty that hoe. Like, when I tell you, I'm literally shaking it. It's not in there. And I'm like, hold up. Literally hold the fuck? Because where did you go? Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Nintendo Switch. Like, what? So, again, I'm freaking out because it's, one, it's a fucking expensive appliance. Two, where did you go? Like, where did you go? And it was on my mind the entire day as I'm going to work, on my mind. I come home. Guess where I found it? I found my Nintendo Switch in the same backpack, but it was face down like this, screen up. What? What? When I tell you I'm freaking out at this point, I'm like, oh yeah, life is a simulation. Life is not real. I am a sim. I am what are them characters from Minecraft, Bob or some shit? I'm them bitches. I am a sim. I am a NPC. Because someone is using a controller to control my life. Because ain't no way. There was a glitch in the system. Because ain't no way I had my wallet in my hand that night. It just appears in my best friend's car the next day. I had my Nintendo Switch in my backpack. Could not find it for the life of me in that same backpack the night I moved in. But when I come home from work the next day, it's just sitting down there, screen face up, like nothing happened. I have questions, comments, and concerns. Like, I need to talk to the developers. I need to talk to the developers that are controlling me, because why are you making me aware? I should not be aware, should I? Y'all tell me, do y'all think life is a simulation? Has this happened to y'all? Because I feel like I'm going nutso. I'm going schizo. I'm going crazy. Help me.
So at first, I was kind of thinking maybe the friend did take the wallet and put it in the car, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know their relationship. I don't know. It seems like, according to this person, that she's trustworthy, but you never know. Like, I'm trying to think of every explanation here. I'm like, maybe the friend did take the wallet and blamed it as a glitch in the Matrix. And at first, with the Switch, I was like, oh my god, it happened again? Like, the Switch is in her car, but then they said that it ended up being in their new apartment. But when I thought it was going to be in their car, I was like, that's it. Like, the friend definitely is taking things. But the Switch being in the apartment when it wasn't in the apartment, it wasn't in the backpack, and was nowhere to be found, then I think that kind of takes the heat off the friend for me. Like, I think that there's something going on, that these things are disappearing and reappearing. Maybe it's some kind of weird glitch because there's some kind of chaotic energy with... It seems like it was a chaotic situation of, like, the leases not overlapping, so you wouldn't have anywhere to be for 5 days, and then staying with a friend, and then... So it's like you're moving twice, and then... It just seems like there could have been a lot of chaotic energy that somehow caused a glitch in the Matrix or something like that. Again, I definitely was kind of suspicious of the friend at first, but yeah, it seems like there is something weird going on. Maybe it's just all the chaos of the moving situation causing some weird things to happen. The next TikTok's by the user, Cat Lady Bridget.
Y'all, Auntie is sorry. I'm on my lunch break right now, hence the cheese that I'm pointing at you. Let me just put that down for a second. But I was elevated. I had spent some time in the garden yesterday, and I realized I forgot to record the explanation of my little glitch in the Matrix scenario. So, Auntie didn't abandon you. She's just fried. So, I won't be disclosing what I do for work, because that ain't none of y'all's business. But I do work, I will say, for a government entity. And so things have been rough lately, but I help people find products, and in exploring those products, I also gather information about certain items that are very specific to a person, and certain people who are very specifically connected to a person. And that's all I'm going to say, really, because that's all the information you need for this story. So last week, I remembered I got a call from a lady, and we'll say her name was Katie. And Katie, she has a very specific list of items that are personal to her, and a list of people who she is connected to, but they had very ridiculous names. For example, one of them was literally, the last name was Assman. She pronounced it differently as Asman, but it was a legit person. So, I remember that there was some kind of issue where She was unable to make a decision that day. So I wished her well, told her if she had any questions, she had my contact information. Then the rest of the week goes by and I have a couple days off. So I clock back in. And yesterday was a time. But about halfway through my day, now mind you, when Katie called, she stood out to me because she had a very unique voice and a very unique personality. And I also made note that she was from my home state because I help people all over the United States. So it's not always that I get a call and it's somebody from my home state. So we did connect about that. Now, yesterday, I get a call, and we'll say this lady is named Helen. And Helen has the same distinct kind of voice, the same kind of personality. She's from a different state, though. We'll say Florida, for example. It wasn't even a Midwest state. She had the same list of specific items that are personalized to this person down to the amounts of these items. And then she also had a list of people who were connected specifically to her that had absolutely ridiculous names that had me having to mute my mic while I giggled at these names. So I thought, for sure, there's no way this person is real. No, they were real. And this lady ended up finding a product that she liked, and I ended up selling one to her. So that was my little glitch in the matrix. I got a phone call from the same lady a week apart, but it wasn't the same lady. And so I don't know if it was my job putting these through some kind of training thing, because they do random calls that are not actually people looking for our products, but they pretend that they are to make sure we're meeting certain regulations. So I don't know if it was that or if I'm just tripping. But there you go. There's your Matrix story that maybe 3 of you were waiting for. Enjoy. Discuss in the comments what you think happened. And also, disclaimer, I do not garden while I am on the clock. I would lose my job, and I'm not about to do that. So, that's not something that I partake in whilst on the clock. Anyway, have a day, and I'll talk to y'all later.
Honestly, I won't entirely rule out the fact that maybe it was some kind of a test, and to make sure that you're professional and don't laugh by upper management, and they just happened to accidentally do it to her twice. I think that is a real possibility. I think that is probably the most likely possibility. I don't know, it could be a glitch, it could be some weird glitch with what are the odds that the same list of weird names comes up twice? In my opinion, it is either some kind of a test or it is a glitch, because I don't think from the way she's describing her job it would be a prank. And it seems like it's more serious than her getting prank calls, that they're already at a point where she knows these people are vetted, kind of, or maybe she doesn't know them, but the company, government agency, whatever the heck it is, knows them. It's not just a random person. So I do really think it either is a glitch or just a company test. I think that's probably the most likely answer, but either way, I think that's a really interesting story. Our next TikTok's by the user, The Real Blizzy.
Hey bestie, you want to go get a quick late night snack? Because I can't sleep. And when I can't sleep, y'all know I got to come and talk to y'all. So, I know y'all see my makeup. I just came back home and I fully expected to be exhausted, which I am, but I just can't sleep. I just came from one of the New York Fashion Week's fashion show by Danielle Leather. And your girl walked. Not only did I walk, but I also walked with my daughter for this first show. It was very exciting. I'm going to show you guys all the footage. I'm excited to show y'all. Anyway. I was sitting here. Oh, go get a snack. Get a fruit or something. I don't know. Go get something. Make it healthy. So, y'all know, do y'all be hearing about the glitch in the Matrix and stuff like that? I hadn't experienced that. And I told y'all this story before, but for my new followers. I remember one time my stepsister and I, it was Christmas, it was around Christmas time. My stepsister and I, my mom sent us to the dollar store to get like last minute ornaments. I think it was like the day before Christmas. So as we're walking out the house about to get in the car, I see the streets are like foggy. I'm like, damn, I didn't even know it was foggy outside. So whatever. The dollar store, Dollar Tree was like 5 minutes away from us. 5 minutes, keep that in mind. So we get in the car, we go to Dollar Tree, we get the ornaments, we get back in the car. Mind you, this is the Dollar Tree that I always go to, obviously, because it's like 5 minutes from my house. So I get in the car, we get the stuff, I get in the car, and I drive back home, as I usually do. And 30 seconds into me driving, the fog gets like really, really bad, to where I'm like, oh, I might have to pull over. And then as I'm like thinking like, I might have to pull over, it starts clearing up a little bit. And as it starts clearing up and I'm driving, I start to realize like, this is not the way home. And I tell my stepsister, am I bugging? Like, this is not the way home. She's like, nah, you're right. Like, this is not the way home. And next thing I knew, I was on the parkway. So I'm like, whoa, how did I end up on the parkway? Like, we're both freaking out. So I'm like, all right, put the address on the GPS because we can't be that far from home. Like, we were 5 minutes away. And so she put the address on the GPS, and y'all, why were we 30 minutes away from our home? 30 minutes. There's no way we left the dollar store 2 minutes, maybe 3 into driving. We end up 30 minutes away, bro. That was like actually insane. Like, we start freaking out. We're like, whoa, how are we 30 minutes away? This is something till this day, like, I never got an explanation for him. And I really truly believe like I teleported or something. I don't know. I was sitting here thinking about that, and I know I haven't given y'all the story time in a minute, and I'm sorry. I've been so busy and exhausted, but I promise I got y'all. But this was a small story, you know? All right. I love you guys. Bye.
Honestly, I hate these stories of like time glitches when they're driving. That freaks me out so much. It's like, what if you end up across the country somehow? I mean, they're never that dramatic, but it freaks me out. It's like you end up somewhere you don't know where you are. What if you have no service? Or, you know, what if it's like it's gonna take you like 2 hours to get back or something and you have no idea how you got there? It's scary. Like, imagining just like being like, where am I? You know the area perfectly well, but you're not anywhere that you recognize. I think that is so scary. I definitely think this is a time glitch. I think maybe the fog could kind of add to me believing that. I feel like weather probably can influence stuff like that. I mean, weather definitely carries energies and maybe can influence glitches or plays a part in it. I don't know. That's just kind of a hunch and kind of something that I'm connecting here. I definitely think she experienced a glitch, and I don't know, it's definitely on the creepier side of glitches for me. Our next TikTok's with the user, I can't with me either.
Glitch in the Matrix, say no more. Let's talk about the time that I was 6 years old, got lost, and saved myself while we make a coffee. So when I was 6 years old, we went camping. We used to camp every summer when I was little. I'm almost out of cinnamon. Anyway, camping was always fairly uneventful. We really didn't do much, but I was a badass little kid, so I would always kind of run off and do my own thing when I wasn't supposed to. This is a less sugar coffee, so we're going to use 1/2 a tablespoon of this and 1/2 a tablespoon of regular brown sugar to not overload ourselves. Anyway, so this particular time, I had been playing with all the rest of the kids that we were camping with, and I was collecting the little frogs that like swim in the water and putting them in a jar. And so I was kind of walking down like the way of the lake that was by our campsite and collecting frogs. So I was walking for a while. My parents, it was the 80s. My parents, you know, it was a safer time then. So we were kind of just running around. They were drinking, they were talking, they were having a time like parents do. They weren't particularly paying a lot of attention to us kiddos. There were always some bigger kids there, cousins, that would be watching us, and nobody noticed that I was gone. I had ended up like way down the lake, and I was collecting frogs on the bank, and so I kind of was like moving up into the trees at the campsite. I was a kid. I wasn't paying the most attention. Hold on. Ew. So anyway, I kept walking, thinking that if I go through the trees, I don't know, I guess I thought I was like on the bank line and that I would end up back at the campsite. This is almond milk. So anyways, I was walking and I ended up back by water. And I'm thinking, like, at this time I'm kind of panicking because I've been lost for quite a while. I'm crying. I'm down by the bank line. Again, I mean, down by the shoreline again. Trader Joe's oat milk creamer. And I'm, like, panicking because I'm lost. I don't see my parents anywhere. There's no one where I'm at. There's no other campsites where I'm at. And I didn't know what to do. Well, it had been a long time. I don't know how long, but I would say probably at least maybe an hour. I don't know. I was down by the water, and I was just sitting there. And I started messing around, just being a kid. You know what I mean? I started, like, playing with the water. And some lady came behind me. And I remember her being dressed, like, kind of weird to me. She had on, like, a A-line type shirt, colorful. Like, she was just dressed kind of weird, with bell-bottoms in the summer. And she came up to me and she was like telling me to stay away. She said, don't play there. Come on. She's like, where's your parents? And I was like, I don't know. And she said, okay, stay away from here. And she was pointing to the water and she said, don't come back here. Don't come back here. You don't come back here. It's dangerous to be by the water. I never really thought nothing of it because, you know, it's just an adult telling me like, hey, kid, get away from the fucking water. Like, don't play over here. You're going to drown. My favorite creamer, by the way, Califia Farms Maple Waffle. So good. I don't want to drag this out. So long story short, she took me and we ended up going. She dropped me at like the office. And they ended up finding my parents' campsite. At this point, my parents are frantic. You know, they're all upset, thinking that I was gone forever. Whatever. Fast forward to recent times. And this is where it gets weird. So I had bought these shirts not that long ago and I deconstructed them. I do deconstruction shirts all the time. I turn them into like these funky little A-line shirts with lace. Well, I got these particular ones and I had some colorful lace that I had left over from some dog shirts that I made. And so, of course, I mean, why not use that lace and make myself shirts, right? So I did. And lo and behold, I dress myself, go look in the mirror, and guess who I see? The lady that freaking saved me by the fucking lake, bro. Like, how does this even happen? It was so fucking strange. I literally looked in the mirror and instantly, like a flashback to that moment when she told me to stay away from the water. Like, was she saving me from drowning? Was I saving myself from drowning? Was I going to die? I'm fucking mind blown because this happened not that long ago. Like, the realization that it was me that I saw. Could I be crazy? Could I be delusional? Maybe. But I don't think so. I literally just looked in the mirror and it was the same fucking exact outfit I had on bell bottoms and that stupid fucking top. And it was me. It was me. There's no other way I can put it. I don't know.
I feel like this is the kind of thing that I've heard of before, that someone reaches a certain age and they're like, oh my God, I am the person that gave myself this lesson or saved myself when I was a kid. It's like some stranger and then one moment you put on a certain outfit and you're like, oh my God, this is the person that saved me. I mean, it's interesting because it's like she's realized this, but it's not like all of a sudden now she's in this mission to go save herself. So it's like, did like her from another timeline go and save herself? Or did like the energy of her go save herself? Because it doesn't seem like a Harry Potter situation like in The Prisoner of Azkaban when they go back in time and whatever. It doesn't seem like that, like, because it's not like she's over here like, now I have to go find myself in the forest. And you know, so it's not like a situation of that where now she needs to go do it to save herself. Unless it is that situation, but she didn't do it this time. So then, like, does it break the cycle? And then, but she's still alive? I feel like, I really hope you're, like, following my train of thought here. Because I'm not gonna lie, The Prisoner of Azkaban really messes with my head because of the whole, like, going back in time. And there's, like, the endless loop of them forever going back in time. to fix that situation. And like the thought of that baffles me, and that's like applied here. It's like, does she constantly have to go back and save herself and find herself in the forest? Or is it just like a one and done? Because it seems like she didn't go back and save herself once she realized it now. It's weird. It's crazy. I don't know. I feel like I'm thinking too much about this for sure, but I feel like it's like, is it a one and done, or are you gonna have to like go and save yourself now? Like are you doomed because you didn't go back and save yourself once you realized that you were the person who saved yourself? I don't know. Our next two TikToks are with the user Amy Leah the Comeback.
I died and came back to life. So glitch in the matrix here. I literally am missing 3 weeks of my life, basically starting from around, I would say, October 15th to October 27th. And then some. I don't remember what happened on the 27th when I actually did die. And then I don't remember the 28th, the 29th, 30th, 31st. I don't remember anything through Halloween. So that's a good long 3 weeks of time that I will never get back. I do not understand where I was. I do not understand what happened. I did not know I was in a hospital. They had cut me open from top to bottom in my stomach. They had pulled out all kinds of organs. They had done all kinds of operations. And all I knew was that I felt searing pain. I had severe septicemia, and it caused me to go unconscious, and I was actually laying in my bed for days and becoming delusional, and my organs were failing, and nobody knew, and they thought I had the stomach flu. And every time they would ask me if I wanted to go to the hospital, I would say no, absolutely not. And what happened was my brain got stuck on the last thing that I said, which was no, I don't want to go. And every time someone would ask me a question, I would just say no, I don't want to go. Most of the time, they were asking if I wanted to go to the hospital. At this point in time, they were taking my answers as the gospel. She doesn't want to go. She's an adult. We can't make her go. This happened in October of 2016, so this was probably through the 20th of October to the 27th. The 27th is when I actually died and was revived. On the 27th, I was found face down on the floor in my own excrement, vomit. It will look like black coffee grounds, which, if you know, when people are going necrotic, their fingers go black, their toes go black because the heart is pulling blood from wherever to keep the person alive. My fingers were in complete necrosis, and my toes, all the way up to my mid-calves, were black. And I was face down in a pile of my own vomit. My dad immediately took me down the stairs and put me on the floor in their large foyer of their house. Called an ambulance, called my sister, who's also an NP, and my mom was at work, and probably for good reason. It's a blessing in disguise that my mom went to work, because my mom is extremely emotional and cannot handle rough situations like my dad can. I'm like my dad. I can handle rough situations. I don't freak out. I'm very calm, cool, collect. My mom is not like that. She freaks out like the sky is falling. If she saw me in that condition, I don't know if she would have been okay. To this day, she's still not okay, even after not seeing what my dad saw. My dad saw me completely unalive, and they were doing the paddles on me and trying to bring me back, and I had to cut my clothes off and everything, and they rushed me into the ambulance, and I was not breathing, so they intubated me inside the ambulance, and they were pseudo breathing for me. So they were pressing the bag so my chest would rise. And they were having me on monitors and all that. Tried to insert IVs. Couldn't get any IVs because I was so dehydrated for not eating or drinking anything, hardly, over the last 3 weeks. So when I got to the hospital, like I said, I don't know what happened so I'm missing. I had a tube down my throat, and that was what was breathing for me. I was in a medically induced, I was in a coma on my own. For the first 5 days, and then they medically induced me into a medical induced coma for another additional 6 or 7 days. So almost 2 weeks of just not even being there. Well, when I first got to the hospital, and I believe that why I believe this is what happened when I first got to the hospital, I will never know. But I believe this is what happened the first day that I actually died for the first time, in the foyer of my house, and then in the ambulance, through the ambulance ride all the way into the ICU. Having 20 doctors working on me, trying to get me to breathe. In that time, I heard music, I saw things, I saw my grandparents who are no longer alive. My grandma was a very monumental figure to me in my life. She died when I was 7 years old. My life has never been the same. It started a repetition of anxiety, eating disorders, body dysmorphia, and in a severe fear of someone close dying to me. So I was doing rituals with my fingers, tapping everything. Everything has to be twice, touching doorknobs twice, locking doors twice, brushing my teeth twice, clapping twice. Like, literally everything has to be twice. Or I would think that my parents or someone else was going to perish. And then my grandpa, another monumental figure, married to my grandmother, died when I was 12. I actually found him in his car. My mom and I drove up to the driveway. We didn't hear from my grandpa all day, which wasn't like him. And we walked up to the driveway. My mom saw that the door was open. The car was in the driveway. I walked up to the car. I said, "Mom, stay back. I don't want you to see this." Because again, my mom cannot handle crazy situations like I can. I walked up and I saw my grandpa, and he was sitting stiff, staring straight ahead with his eyes open like this. His oxygen tank was on the ground. One foot was out of the car, and he had groceries in the car. I checked my grandpa's pulse, and he was cold to the touch, and his hand fell down like this on me. I did not scream, but I almost passed out. It was just so rough for me I was 12 when this happened. So 7 when my grandma passed, 12 when my grandpa passed, okay? Monumental figures. I saw them, okay? We're fast forwarding to... So, monumental figures in my life, my grandma and my grandpa who passed away, I saw them while I was not alive. They were see-through. I could actually see them. I could smell my grandma's perfume that she used to wear when I was younger. I could actually smell the smell of my grandpa's cologne going and passing through my nose, and I kept trying to hug them and touch them, and I would go right through them, but they were talking to me, and they were telling me, everything's going to be okay. You're in this white room, and I was in this white padded room. It looked like a padded room for people who might be like having something wrong with their mental, and like a insanity chamber, basically. Like, nothing is in there but white padded pads on the wall, and there was a bed, I'm assuming, that I'm in, and I can see myself in the bed, and I'm walking around, but I'm floating. I'm literally floating, okay? And I'm floating around, and I'm trying to hug my grandparents, and I can't. But they're talking to me, and when they're moving their mouth, certain things aren't making sense. The things that they're saying aren't making sense, and I kept saying, like, what are you saying? And they're like, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be fine. You're in this waiting room, and you're gonna wait here for a little bit. And I'm like, wait, what am I waiting for? And sorry, my dog just scared me. And literally, I just kept asking my grandma, what am I waiting for? Am I waiting to go to heaven? And they never answered me. They just kept looking at me with this very strange glare. Then I looked over, and my parents appeared. Out of nowhere, they appeared. And there's a mound of dirt on the ground in this white room. Everything is white, except for the mound of dirt. And my parents are wearing black clothes. Black, like, dressy attire. My dad looks thinner, and my mom looks thinner. It's very weird, because they're not, like, overweight people, but they looked like they were decrepitly skinny, like they had been suffering, grieving, and not eating and not taking care of themselves. There was black umbrellas. They both had one. They were really big umbrellas. It almost covered their face, and I could only see their lips, so I knew it was them. And I ran up to them, and I said, what's wrong? Why are you guys so skinny? What are you crying over? And I could see their tears coming out of their eyes, and it was dropping onto the dirt, and their tears were actually making splash marks, okay? And they were just crying, and then there was these literal white roses that were being dropped on the pile of dirt, and then black ones started dropping, and when the black ones started dropping, they started dying, immediately dying and disappearing, and like the black would like turn into like dust, okay? Then I could hear my kids. I had 2 kids at this time. I believe my oldest was like, I want to say around 9, and my youngest at that time was probably 6 and a half, 9 and a half. They're about 3 almost 4 years apart. Okay, I could hear them for fun. I could hear the basketball bouncing over and over, and then it started to bounce at like a repetition. And then literally their little voices were just going like, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, as they were bouncing the ball. Then, on top of that, I actually seen and heard multiple babies crying. Multiple. One of them was a baby that was just like very, 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 very small. Looked smaller than my hand. I could tell it was a baby girl. It had a rose around her head, okay? I had lost a baby girl prior to this at 17 weeks. Then I saw multiple other babies. 3 other babies. Could not tell their genders. They were crying and literally just floating in the air, okay? Like someone was holding them, but I couldn't tell who was holding them. The person that was holding them was not a figure that I could see, that I could make out. It was like almost like a staticky figure holding the child, okay? So couldn't make out who they were, who they were representing, who these people were in my life, or who were these babies? And they kept handing me the baby and then taking it back, and handing me the baby and taking it back. And I was like, are these my babies? I'm not pregnant. I don't recall giving birth to these children. And I kept like trying to hold them and coddle them, and like one of them actually held to my chest and was like, it's okay, it's okay. And the baby felt real. I could actually feel the baby's body. And the little baby, I could tell it had to have been my child that I had lost. And I held her and I was like, I missed you. And I like really thought like she was going to come home with me wherever I was going. And then I thought, am I in the hospital giving birth? Did I have 4 babies? Did I have multiples? Did I have triplets? Because there was 3 babies that were normal size. And then the one that I think was my baby that had passed on in 2009 into 10, at the very, very end of 2009, literally the end of the freaking year, like the 31st, okay? And I just remember like trying to hold these babies, and I would hold them and then they would just disappear. Then I would hold them and like pat them and try and feed them, and it was just so bizarre. And then I was awoken up out of this state of being dead, and I heard this music that my mom always played to me that was on Christian radio. It's called Just Say Jesus. I don't know if you've ever heard the song. If you've ever heard the song, you know what I'm talking about. But it's like, when you don't know what to do, just say Jesus. And it was that loud chorus part. And I actually went, ugh. And they were sticking the tube down my throat. I felt it, heard the music loud as hell. It was like a fight between evil and good. And I really wholeheartedly felt like I had won over the evil and had gotten through it and got to the good side. But I was still unconscious, still unknown where I was. And like I said, the waiting room that I was in, the white padded room where I saw all these things, my kids, never saw their faces, but I could hear them behind me because I know what my kids sound like. The children I had already birthed, obviously I know what they sound like. And my parents standing over there, and my grandparents over here, and me floating around the bed and being able to see myself. And I could see the doctors working on me. So the second time, third time, I kept going back into the waiting room. And this time I could see doctors working on me. They were cutting me open and folding my skin inside out, like rolling it, like as if it looked like a firework had blown up my stomach, and they were peeling my skin open like this. And there were clamps holding the skin open, and they were inside with all these tools working on it. And I was like, what's happening? What's happening to me? And there was all these wires that I looked like Medusa. I had like 18 things coming out of my mouth, and ears, and not really my ears, but like nose, mouth. And there were literal tears coming out of my eyes, and I could see them, and they were hitting the pillow. And the pillow it looked like it was soaking wet. And there was ice all over me, like I had been set on ice, right? And I'm looking at myself, and I can actually see the ice is like melting, and there's like steam coming off of it because my body was so hot. And I'm begging, I'm like, doctors, what's wrong with me? What are you doing to me? And they're cutting me open, and it looks like they're taking stuff out, right? And I'm like, are they taking babies out of me? Was I pregnant this whole time and I didn't know? Am I having triplets? So again, I see these 3 babies, and then I see the little itty bitty baby that I think that is the baby I lost. Well, I wholeheartedly to this day believe and know that was the baby I lost, a baby girl. And I lost her at 17 weeks, so she was very, very, very small. And the babies that were like they look small, but they were full grown. I have small babies. And literally, they're pulling them out of my body. It looks like they're pulling them out of my body, and then the babies turn into organs. And they're putting them on the scale and weighing them. Now, at this point, I'm obviously in a medically induced coma. And when I do eventually wake up, I look down and I have a wound, and it is all the way down, and it is open, and it is peeled open, and it looks like I was blown up by a firework. They really did cut me open. They really did take out all of those organs, and I actually had foam inside of the wound, so it would heal together. It was never sewn together. It was a botched surgery. So I have a zipper scar down my stomach. It's ugly. I hate it, but then again, it saved my life. They had to do what they had to do because they weren't expecting me to live. I've already went into way too much detail because the story has already been told. I've already told the story. It's in my I Survived playlist. There's like 15 parts of it where literally I'm in the ICU. I'm going through all this stuff, and then I do wake up, and I do survive, and I beat the odds, and all the doctors are like wanting to come and see me because I'm like this crazy, like they want to study me, and they want to put me in books because of the level of septicemia that I was at, the level of death, that I was already in pre-rigor mortis when I was brought to the hospital, that I was stiff, that I was 107, 108 degrees. My organs were boiled. My brain was boiling. There was blood My brain was swelling. They'd put a shunt in my head. I mean, just shit that should never happen to a 25-year-old woman. And I actually beat this and came through it. And there was a point they were talking about amputating my feet because they were so black, and they were taking pictures of my feet because the blackness kept, going up my legs and getting farther and farther. And they said, if it gets any farther, we're going to have to literally take measures and talk about amputation. And I was so in and out of it. So I remember them saying that, and I remember my parents standing next to me and crying. And then I could actually I wasn't in the padded room anymore. I was in real life. And I remember looking out of the corner of my eye, and I could see my grandparents. Again, they were in the actual hospital room, and they were see-through. And they would appear and disappear and appear and disappear and wear clothes that they were actually wearing when they were alive. And then I could hear my kids behind me, and I would ask my parents, are the kids here? And they're like, no, we're not going to let them see you like this. And I was like, did I have babies? And I asked my parents this, and they were like, what? Babies? No. And I said, Mom, I was trying to, I couldn't talk, so I had to write all this on a dry erase board, okay? And when I woke up, I literally woke up through all this, and my parents were actually there this time. Like, I could touch them, when my hands weren't strapped to the bed, and they were standing there crying, and they looked normal again. They weren't like decrepitly skinny again, and they were trying to explain everything that happened to me. And like I said in my videos prior, it just sounded like doctors, and my parents were going, whoa, 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 whoa. Like nothing was ever really making sense. So when I did have a dry erase board, I would write stuff like questions like, where am I? What happened to me? Why does my stomach look like this? Why is my stomach on fire? Why am I on a bed of ice? That's because I had 108 fever. I really was on a bed of ice. I really was making ice steam because my body was so hot. So looking back on that, I feel like there was a glitch in the matrix somewhere where some kind of a presence came out of me, and I went back to the good side because I was in a dark place and there was darkness in me. And I literally grieved after being in the ICU. Now there's a whole, like I said, I've already told this whole story, but like literally I had a boyfriend at this time who abused me in the ICU terribly. I mean, terrible, terrible, terrible torture. So like after the first 2 weeks of being in the hospital, he began torturing me. And if you want to know about that, go look at my playlist. I tell it in a much slower and much detailed way. You can obviously speed it up if you don't want to hear me talking slow, but I had to get it out. Like it was just weighing on me so bad. So like the darkness had came out of me, and I believe that the person that I was with was another dark entity that entered my life because I met him in rehab, and he gaslit me and love bombed me, and he did everything to be with me and lied to me, and our whole relationship was a lie. He was cheating the whole time. I mean, it's just awful. And the things that he did, and the way that he tortured me. He tortured me for almost 4 solid months. And he even tortured me when we got home to my parents' house. I had to live with my parents. I had to have a nurse come and take care of me 4 months later. After I got out of the ICU, I could not walk, could not talk, lost all my hair, had to relearn life. I mean, literally relearn life. And in this 4-month time period, I grieved the loss of the babies. Okay, I already was grieving a miscarriage, but I was grieving over babies that I didn't even know. Grieving over babies that I touched and held and felt while I was not alive. And I did not know who they were, but I could almost see these babies' faces. And they all had like dark hair and like tan skin, and they looked like babies that I had already had previously, but I just didn't know whose babies they were. Turns out I went on to have 3 more children. So I don't know. I don't know if what I saw was my future. But I do believe that I did see my baby who had passed on. God had allowed me to see her and give me closure that she was okay. My grandparents ended up taking her. They took the little baby in their hands and disappeared. And, and then I did see my best friend who passed away also while I was not alive. But I don't want to get into it because I'll just start crying. But I always wanted to know that she was okay. And her little saying back in the day was her screen name on AIM. If you know, you know, was I'll be okay 7. Her favorite number was 7, and she loved ladybugs, and I see ladybugs everywhere. So that's always my sign that things are good. Good things are coming. There were ladybugs flying around in my hospital room when I was awake, like actually alive and awake. So I believe there was a glitch in the matrix. I was allowed to see my future, and I see the darkness in me being released and the good part of me that was able to come back, and he allowed me to see what I was going to have in my future, and that if I didn't get my life together at that very moment, at that very time, give my life back over to God, do the things I needed to do, the 12 steps, you know. And I ended up getting baptized after this. Not saying that you have to get baptized to be religious, not saying you have to go to church. I'm not saying any of that. This is just my personal experience with God, okay? Because yeah, when you're an addict, you do a lot of evil shit. And I have such a testimony to this day. And it brings goosebumps to my body, because this story, I'm telling it in the quickest way possible, and it's still over 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to cut this down. But if you really want to see everything that happened to me, go look at my I Survived playlist. It's down below. I'm going to be moving everything to YouTube if we get bananaed here. But regardless, this is my testimony. This is what I have to share, along with so much other things that happened to me. Domestic violence as a severe torture, severe, him trying to off me 3 different times, going to prison for it, him being a cop, like just so much horrible things that have happened to me in my life, and so many different stories that me and my little brother that are very connected have to share, that has correlated, have like intertwined, like our lives have intersected in so many weird ways. We both have had near death or death experiences that have led us to different realities, where our realities are changed and we wake up and things are completely different. If this never happened, would this be the course of our life? Would this not be the course of our life? Was there a glitch in the matrix? You know, like these types of things make you wonder. I wonder about this shit every single day. Why did this happen to me? Why did I go septic? Why did I die? Why? What was the point of that? I was a healthy 6-year-old woman, and this shit happened to me, and it literally changed me forever. But it changed me for the better. And literally for the last 17 years of my life, I've questioned God, like, God, when is my life ever going to calm down? When is my life ever going to be happy? When am I never going to not be in pain, or in an abusive situation, or in a traumatic situation, or in deadly situations, or, you know, anything like that? Always fight or flight mode. I mean, for the last 17, 18 years of my life, I've been in, and finally, you know, I feel like God has given me a happy, good life. Like, yeah, I've been grieving, and I lost someone very significant in my life again, and, you know, my kid's dad, you know, and it was a very significant traumatic loss. And then I went on to birth our son 4 weeks after he passed away. It was the worst, craziest experience of my life, but it was also beautiful, because I was able to, like, have, like, a second part of him, a third part of him in my life, and he was no longer there, but I felt like he was there, if that makes sense. And God allowed me to go on and be with a person that I've been friends with for the last 3-4 years of my life, who's been a really significant person in my life and really close, because I still grieve. Yes, I still have trauma. Yes, I still have so much to work through. So many unanswered questions on why all this happened to me. But for the time being, I feel like I'm not in fight or flight mode. And for the last year and some months, I have been able to feel solid and at peace, and like I don't have to run, and that I'm not gonna get beat. I'm not scared. You know, I'm treated good. I'm treated the way the bare minimum is being treated, like a human being, right? That's the bare fucking minimum. But the person I'm with goes above and beyond and does everything he can for me. So I hope this story was a lesson to somebody that, yes, you can have crazy experiences. You can switch timelines. You can maybe possibly are allowed to, God allows you to see the future, allows you to see the past, allows you to get evil and, you know, have bad and good come out of you. But take it for what it's worth, research it, look at it, understand it, and accept it, and come to know that that is your reality. And that, yes, things like this really can happen. And yeah, you can go from a horrible, horrible life to a really happy life. We do recover.
This is definitely like a common story where someone is on the brink of death and they see their loved ones. Oh my god, I hate that I'm about to like relate this to Harry Potter again. But like when Harry's in the forest and he sees his mom and Sirius and his dad and Remus before he's about to like die-ish. And then he sees Dumbledore at King's Cross Station when he's like half dead. Again, I mean, that's a movie, but things like that happen all the time. You hear so many stories about how you're like about to die, and you're oh man, I watch too much TV. In Grey's Anatomy, when Meredith has COVID and she sees Derek on the beach and George on the beach and Lexi and Mark, and it's like she's teetering on the edge, and it's like she has this chance to decide whether she wants to stay with them, obviously in the afterlife, or if she wants to go back to her regular life and survive. And it sounds like she had that experience, and it seems like a lot of people have this. It's like, I don't necessarily think it's a glitch in the Matrix. I think it's more of, maybe, I don't think purgatory is the right word either, but it's kind of like a middle ground. And I feel like some people get the choice because their job on Earth is not done yet, but ultimately you get a choice. But you hear so many stories about these people who are like, yeah, I saw all these people and they said that I'm not done yet, and I chose to come back. And I think also with the babies, I do think that those were her future kids, and it was kind of like they kind of already existed in like a future sense of like, if you continue on, this is like in your timeline. And it's like they exist because they're going to exist in that timeline, and maybe like kind of showing her what she could have. I don't know, like, I'm just kind of tossing stuff out there, but I think it's really amazing hearing that she saw the baby that she miscarried. I think that's amazing to have that thought that, you know, obviously like it's such a devastating thing when you have a miscarriage, and the idea that they've obviously made it to heaven and you'll get to meet them one day and in the afterlife, even though you weren't able to actually meet them in this world. That's a lot to take in from this story. Definitely was a really heavy one, but wow. Our next TikTok's with user, Linda Soul.
So I just experienced a serious glitch in the Matrix, and it is fucking with my head, so I might as well come on here and talk about it. So for context, I am in my family home. There's a downstairs and there's an upstairs. I get home and I immediately take off my gym bag, put it by the door, and go straight to the kitchen to fix myself a plate for dinner. As I'm fixing myself a plate for dinner, I'm scrolling on TikTok per usual. My sister texts me, and she texts me, she's downstairs as well. She texts me like some funny text, and I'm like, girl, like really, you're so silly, basically, right? Just proof that I had my phone with me, okay? This is important. I get my food, I sit down at the kitchen table, and I'm eating and scrolling on my phone. I have a conscious thought where I'm like, hey, let me put my phone away and be more present while I'm eating my dinner. And like a couple of my family members were in the house, so I just wanted to be more present with them. So I put down my phone, I finish my meal, and I immediately get up to go wash the dishes. I wash the dishes, and then all of a sudden I can't find my phone anywhere, which doesn't make no sense because I was just using it. I vividly remember seeing my sister's text, talking about it out loud, being at the dining table, consciously thinking, hey, put down your phone, be more present with the people around you, and immediately after getting up and going to the kitchen and washing my dishes. So I'm looking for my phone everywhere. My dad's calling my phone. We're like, where could it be? Because it was just right here in my hand. So we're checking everywhere. At this point, my sister is upstairs and she yells down and says, hey, I found your phone in your room. I heard it vibrating because she knew we were looking for it. And I already had asked her, did you accidentally take my phone upstairs? Could you possibly have grabbed it? Because there's no way it just disappeared into thin air when I know I did not lose it or misplace it. Mind you, we've checked everywhere. We've checked the garbage at this point. We've checked the fridge. We've checked the pot of rice. Like, we've checked everywhere, and the phone was nowhere to be found. So then my sister yells from upstairs and says, I found your phone. It was in your room on your bedside table. Mind you, I had never gone upstairs to my room at all. At all. Not once. If I did come up to my room, because I am forgetful, so I'm like, did I go up to my room? But no, I did not. I was at the dining table with my phone, consciously thinking like, hey, put down your phone and just be more present with what you're doing right now. And immediately after, I went to wash the dishes, and somehow my phone disappeared. Not disappeared, ended up in my bedroom upstairs. My sister swears that she did not take it accidentally, nor would she lie about finding it in my room. Like, if she just accidentally took it, she would have been like, yeah, my bad, I grabbed the wrong phone. This is not the first time that I've lost or misplaced something that I swear I just had right in my direct grasp. And so now I'm tripping out because I used to think like, I'm just a little ADHD, like I misplace things a lot, I lose track of the details a bit, and now I'm like, is the Matrix messing with my mind? Because how did my phone end up upstairs? I did not go upstairs. And so I'm like, maybe I did go upstairs. Like, am I tweaking? Maybe I don't remember. But I know I didn't, because every time I get home and I go to my room, it takes me about 20 to 30 minutes to come back down and eat dinner or whatever, because I'm changing my clothes, getting into pajamas, decompressing, gardening a little bit. So like, that just really messed with my brain. And now I'm sitting here having to process the fact that this makes entirely no sense. So yeah, nothing is real, but the Matrix is.
Part of me wonders if it was like a glitch trying to help her out. Be like, you want to be more present, you don't want to be tempted to be on your phone, let me just take your phone and put it somewhere else so you can't be on it. I mean, believe me, I've had so many instances where I put my phone down somewhere and then I have absolutely no idea where it is like 30 seconds later, and I'm like destroying my house trying to find it because somehow it's like vanished. But I don't think it's that situation, because she had it at the table. She was aware that she put it down because she was at the table and she wanted to be more mindful, and then it just vanished. It doesn't seem like she put it down and then she wanted to wait. Like, she had it at the table and then it was just not there. So maybe it was some kind of a glitch of like being like, hey, like let me take this off your hands so as not to tempt you anymore. I don't know. Like, to me, that is the only explanation here. Our next TikTok's for the user, Premedical Mama.
Okay, this is gonna be long because the weirdest thing happened to me this morning, and I don't know if it was a glitch in the Matrix or burned toast theory or what. So my oldest daughter wears hearing aids. She has a microphone that the teacher wears that it like streams to her hearing aid so she can hear the lessons. So these are like her prized possessions, right? Like, she does not play about her Roger, that's what the mic is called, or her hearing aids. The glare is driving me crazy. I'm gonna take these off. So she does not play. She takes it very seriously. She's very responsible. So we kind of have like a routine that we do with the Roger every day. She comes home, she plugs it in on her desk. First thing she does when she gets home. She wakes up in the morning, she gets ready for school, she unplugs it, she puts it back in her backpack. Every day we do this. So this morning she comes downstairs and she's like, I can't find the Roger, Mom. And I'm like, I asked you last night if you had plugged it in. And I don't usually do that, but I had like this like moment where I was like, hey, did you plug your Roger in today? And she said, yeah, well, I went downstairs to look in my backpack and it wasn't in my backpack. So I thought you had plugged it in. And I was like, line of thinking makes sense for an 8-year-old. Sure. So I'm like, I'll go find it. It's upstairs somewhere. So I go upstairs, I look everywhere in her room, and we like have to leave for school. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna take you to school. I can't find it. I'll email your teacher. I'll see if it's at school, because sometimes that happens. Or I will come home and I'll find it. So I come home, I clear off the couch, I clear off the counters, I go in her room, I deep clean her room. I can't find this thing. It is gone. I call the school. I'm like, hey, I think it got left in the parent pickup line. Can you ask the custodian to look around for it? It's like a 3-inch long little microphone. It's so weird looking, but I think when he finds it, he'll know what it is. And I'm convinced that it has to be at the school because it did not make it home yesterday. And so I'm like freaking out. I go in, I vacuum, like I'm doing everything in her room trying to find this thing. So I decide, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back in there one more time. It's spotless now, and I'm just gonna like scan the room back and forth. It has to be in there. It's not at school. It has to be in her room. I go in there, and the top of the cord is sticking out of the vent. It's the first thing I see. Mind you, I had vacuumed, so I was looking at the floor not long before this. Didn't notice it. And I'm like, oh, it fell in the vent? And I pull on it, but I can't get it out because it doesn't fit through the slots on the vent. But the cord is sticking out like it fell into the vent. So I take the vent off and I pull it out of the vent and I put the vent back on, which isn't that easy. And again, she's really responsible, so I don't see her being like, I'm gonna hide the thing that makes me able to hear my teacher. What just occurred? It gets weirder. I
I'm like, okay, I'll plug it in. I'll take it to her in like an hour. I turn it on. It's fully charged. How? How is it fully charged? Was this a glitch in the Matrix? I told her we're blaming it on spooky season because I don't know how else to explain it. And then the other thing that I keep thinking about is burnt toast theory. Like, did I avoid something this morning? Was I supposed to be somewhere else and like the universe sent me on this weird like detour so that I wouldn't be there? I'm gonna go in my house and spiral. That's what I'm gonna do.
I think that her idea of like burnt toast theory kind of, she's maybe onto something. I don't really know what else it could be. I mean, it is weird. Like, especially if it's a thing that it couldn't have just slipped down the vent. I don't know how else to get down there. Like, it has to be some kind of a glitch or even a paranormal thing that like a ghost did it messing with them. I feel like there's so many like different details in the story that's like back and forth and like this and that and whatever. It's like, it's confusing, and it's also like I just don't understand how that could have happened. It must be a glitch. Maybe burnt toast theory. I don't know. Our next TikTok's with the user Under the Capricorn Sun. Now I feel like I may have included this TikTok in a paranormal video, I think, because this TikTok seems super familiar, but normally I document which ones I've included in previous videos. So you guys may have heard this one before, but I think it is a really, really weird one.
So I had a literal We're in the Matrix dream about 2 months ago. I'm a lucid dreamer. I literally always wake up in my dreams. I have been lucid dreaming since I was a kid. And after having this dream, I have not had a lucid dream in almost 2 months. So I've just decided that I'm going to talk about it because I have no idea what to make of it. You can go watch my like dreams playlist on here if you want, but essentially I have lucid dreams all the time. I wake up at like the smallest mention of something that is not based in reality. This is frequent for me. It has been happening since I was a little kid. It leads to some very cool dreams, some very interesting stuff, but this one was actually scary. So essentially I had a dream. It was just like all the other dreams. Like I was in my bedroom, you know, I'm playing the piano. I think I'm 17. I'm at my parents' house. It starts out, you know, like I'm doing something kind of mundane and usual. And then I have this strong feeling like if I look out of my bedroom window, it's not going to be, you know, the view of the forest that was my parents' backyard. So I look out the window, sure enough, you know, there's dream characters everywhere. There's streets. It's like a whole circus outside. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm dreaming. But I didn't want to say that out loud. And I was alone in my bedroom. So I was like, okay, so there's no dream characters here to kind of like take me away. No dream police. So I sit down and I'm like, I'm just going to play the piano. I'm just going to sing. I'm just going to try to be creative in this space. Hopefully I don't wake up and that'll be fine. I'll just be kind of lucid here. So I'm playing the piano and my fingers start doing that dream thing where you're like kind of getting sucked into stuff. The piano is kind of being weird. And so I get a little bit freaked out and I go like, I'm dreaming, like stop, like whatever. So immediately when I'm like, I'm dreaming, cut. Immediately the piano stops being weird, like the room stops being weird. I kind of like look over to the door. There's a woman standing there with a clipboard. So then I'm in this room. This girl's there. She's got like a little pixie cut. She's like, oh, you gotta go. Like, she got the clipboard. I'm like, okay, I know I gotta go. But I'm like, can you just like answer some questions for me? So she comes over, I'm sitting on my bed. And as I'm asking her these questions about like why I have to leave and why I keep waking up in my dreams, I'm kind of looking around and all of a sudden like the walls start to be weird. If you've ever seen Community and you know what the Dreamatorium is, it kind of starts like glitching. Like it's like, am I in some sort of like weird white room that has like lines and it's almost like a projected virtual reality? Like that's what it looked like. So as this like dream woman's talking to me, suddenly everything turns into this very like it's a virtual reality space and it's almost like the VR dies and this other woman is standing there and she's like she gets real weird. She's like, oh my god, no, like I have to fix this. What? She's like, you were supposed to wake up. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you're just like not supposed to be able to access this space while you're in a dream. Like you should not be here. And I don't know how you got here. And like we are going to be in a lot of trouble. And I was like, what do you mean by we? So essentially, she takes me out of this room and we are on some sort of like a spacecraft, and she takes me over to this screen. It's like in the wall, and it's showing like past dreams that I've had from like this camera perspective, and I'm seeing them, and I remember that I've had these dreams. I'm like, how do you have access to this? She's like, I actually have this whole file on you. Like, we've been watching you, and like essentially, you know, like we know that you can lucid dream, like, but you're not supposed to be able to leave the dream and come into like what is here reality. And I'm on literally, it's like a spacecraft, but it was very weird. And essentially, she keeps showing me like the moments in dreams when I become awake. And she's like, humans aren't supposed to be able to do that. And we don't know why you can do that. But like, this is you waking up in all your dreams. And there is like this shift in the dream. And I can see it from like a third person point of view instead of my experience. But it's all dreams that I remember having in the past. And I'm like, I just want to explore, so I don't know what you're talking about. She's just like, no, it goes beyond that. Like, you shouldn't be able to do this. She brings out this folder and it's numbered. Like, I have a number, like a case number. And she's just like, yeah, your number, whatever. And like, we've been watching you for a while because like you can do this and nobody else can. And like, we just want to know why. But like, essentially, we're going to have to stop it from happening. So I'm not gonna lie, at this point, I start getting really freaked out because I'm lucid. I'm physically like in a body. I'm there. Everything feels very, very real, and I'm like fully aware of who I am. I know that I'm like back asleep on Earth. I'm in a dream. Like, I know everything, but I also have all these memories of like all of my dreams as well. And so she takes me into this room, and it's like a waiting room, and there's all these people who are dreaming, and they're like catatonic, and they all have these handlers, but like literally they're catatonic. Like, I'm trying to like look at them, get their attention. Like, nobody is responding. They're all asleep, and something's like wrong with them or wrong with their dreams, and they're waiting to be kind of like processed. And they're in this room. So then these like military people come up to me. They're not like United States military. It literally, like, I don't know how to explain it. They seemed human to me, but it felt like futuristic or alien or something. Like, I don't quite know. It was like this group of people. And they come and they like escort me to a bridge of some sort. Like, not a full bridge, like the bridge of a ship. And this is where it gets really weird, but they start asking me about like vaccines or like shots or something. Like, they're asking me about that. And I'm like, yeah, like, I've got all the shots on Earth that I'm supposed to get. And they were just like, no, like, something's wrong with your DNA. Like, you're not supposed to be able to wake up here. Like, we're going to have to give you this injection and then you'll never be able to lucid dream again. And I was like, excuse me, what? And this handler woman's like, apologized. She's like, I'm really sorry that we have to do this, but like, we have to do it. You can't be here. And so I'm just like, what are you talking about? They start talking about like B12. I don't know where that came from. They started talking about like certain genes, and then they put these like dots on my veins. I was like, get off of me. But I like can't wake up. I'm lucid, but I can't wake up myself at all. So essentially, I have this conversation with these like higher ups, like whoever are the captain or whatever, and they're telling me that like they're asking me questions, they're asking me about my experience, I'm asking them about like why I can't be there. They're kind of being like, well, that's classified, whatever. And then they like prepare this injection and they give my handler like a shot, and they're just like, okay, you're gonna have to like take her back to the room, give her this injection, and she's never gonna be able to lucid dream again. And I'm like, what? So I get taken back to the room, right, with this woman, and I'm like, please don't do this. Like, I love lucid dreaming. I don't want to not be able to lucid dream. And I kind of asked her, I was like, what is the problem? She's like, she said something about like, I'm able to see beyond, and I shouldn't be able to like push through the layers of that reality, but I can, and it's dangerous. So I was like, please don't do this. So then she goes and she leans in and she like doesn't give me the shot. She like squirts it out. She's just like, I'm actually a huge fan. Like, I've watched your videos. Like, I've been following you, and I've asked to be assigned to this case because I have been watching you essentially like your whole life. And I think this is like really amazing that you can do this. She's just sort of like, I'm going to help you out. And so essentially she told me to just try to like pull my consciousness back, try to be like as unconscious catatonic as I can be. And like, I started crying, and she's like, that's fine, but like, you have to just like wake yourself up. So I just like pulled my consciousness back, and I was like sobbing, and I woke myself up. And then it was crazy because essentially like she was telling me like, if they find out I didn't give you this shot, like, they're gonna come looking for you. They don't want you to be able to like dream like this again. And then when I woke up, I literally had like 104-degree fever. I was not sick when I went to bed, and then I woke up with this 104-degree fever. Felt like I was dying, and I was sick for like 4 days with like this horrible flu that came out of nowhere when I had that dream. And ever since then, I haven't had another lucid dream.
like at all. In fact, I'm having like weirdly normal dreams, like dreams about stressful things going on in my life, like dreams that would wake me up, and I have not had another lucid dream. So I don't know what to make of that. It really scared me. And to be fair, actually, like I got so delirious with fever. I was like, I told my fiance about this dream, and then I was like, I am going to like go back to sleep, and I'm going to make a deal with the people that like if my fever breaks, and because it wouldn't break, like I was taking medicine, my fever would not break for like 3 days. I was like, if my fever breaks, then like I won't lucid dream anymore. And I went to sleep, and I do not remember having any sort of a dream about that, but I did wake up, my fever was broken, and I have not had a lucid dream since. So I literally don't know what that means. And if anything, it's really hard to think about, because I'm just like, it was so real, and I can very vividly remember being there for like the whole dream and what everything looked like and how futuristic and alien it was. And it was actually really scary. Like when I woke up, I was so paranoid that I wasn't going to be able to remember it. And I was so sick that it was like really hard to even like write it down. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or if anybody else has had any experience like this. Essentially, like I don't want to be like we are stuck in a matrix or anything like that, because maybe dreams are just weird things. But considering I've had psychic dreams, I have dreams about people's deaths, like when they die, I have like premonitions, and that's really connected to the real world. I'm just sort of like, I don't know what to make of this dream. And like I said, it's been 2 months, and I don't think I've woken up in a dream since. So that's that.
I don't really doubt this, honestly. Like, maybe it's not literally people like in lab coats with like syringes and stuff like that, that it's like, it's more celestial than that, but her human brain is putting more like a realistic touch on it, would be kind of my take. But I absolutely believe that, as I've said many, many, many times before, this is like a big topic. Dreams can take us to other timelines, other realities, and or give us sneak peeks into things. And I do believe that not all dreams are just complete gibberish nonsense of the subconscious, that some of it has real meaning and or could be a real situation that's happening elsewhere. So I don't know, a part of me kind of leans towards maybe this was a real situation that happened to her in her dreams. I've had many times where I realize that I am dreaming, and it then turns into a lucid dream because something tips me off. But I've never had a situation like this. It kind of makes me a little scared because I don't want to have a situation like this. Because honestly, I do think that this could be a legit thing that happened to her in another realm or timeline that she was just interpreting through a dream. Our final TikTok of the video is with user Jessica Pisces 33.
I have a lot of stories to tell from my life, and I'm working on a bunch of really cool stuff right now, and I'm waiting on something to dry. So I thought I'd tell you stories where I've said in my life, like, something weird is going on. A lot of them are from being a nurse. I was an ICU nurse for about 10 years. I'm gonna tell you 2 of my mystical, weird nursing stories. I don't have proof of these stories, obviously, because I'm in a hospital, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it, but I'm not lying to you. Okay. Being a nurse was really, really hard on me and my psyche and my emotions and my experience of the world. But it also got me in touch with like the other side. I'm working in the ICU. I'm a night shift nurse, and I'm getting a report on a patient. The patient is not neuro intact. They're not in there, they don't respond. And I was like, okay, and I write it down. It looked obvious that they didn't respond, and so I took her word for it. But even when a patient couldn't respond to me, I'd always talk to them, because 1, I was lonely, and 2, I'm like, what if they could hear? Some of the rooms that we take care of patients were isolation rooms. I only had 1 patient, and it was just me and this person who couldn't talk pretty much all night long. Night shift gives baths, so I'm giving them a bath. That's why I'm talking to them the most, because I'm all up in their business. And I'm like, are you comfortable? And they shake their head, yes. And I was like, oh, you're in there. This is great news. And wasn't neuro intact for quite a long time. Well, now they're answering questions. Nurse works 12-hour shifts, and I would always stack mine in a row. I could have 4 days off to do whatever I wanted. So I ended up having this patient for 3 days in a row. And because I'm a sensitive girl, I end up forming a bond with this patient. So I have them for 3 nights, and then I'm off for 4. On the 4th night, I'm due to come back. So I go to sleep that night and I end up having this dream. But I walk into the patient's room, the isolation room that they were in. And there's all these boxes and suitcases and luggage. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're up standing in the room. I was like, where are you going? And they were like, I'm going home. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how good you look. But you know what? It makes sense. Like, it's so much huge progress in 4 days. And they're like, I just wanted to give you a big hug. So I give this patient like a huge hug. And it was so lovely. And they were like, thank you so much. And I was like, of course. I get to work. I go to the board. I look at the name and they're not there. I was like, did they move to the step-down unit? Are they on med surg now? They were like, no. That patient passed away last night. I was like, what? I literally had a dream that they were going home last night. And in reality, they kind of were. Another time, I was taking care of a patient who had really done something horrible to themselves, and they were so sick. They were on the ECMO machine that took their blood out, okay, oxygenated it, and put it back in. No one could get them off sedation. And so they weren't making any progress at all. And they were like, we really need to get them off sedation. And for some reason, every time they wake up, they're freaking the heck out. I got that patient. I was like, I'm gonna try to get them off sedation. Like, let's make some progress. Let's do this. The first night I had them, I started lowering and tapering off their sedation. They started waking up and they started freaking out. And of course, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go back on sedation. Like, every time they would freak out, it would increase their oxygen demand and it would make them really unstable. Crap, I gotta figure this out. It's the first night of 3 nights in a row, and I'll know I'll have this patient the next day. But I go home and I go to bed, and for some reason, I fell asleep with socks on, which I never do. I woke up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, and I was like, get this shit off me. I was like, have you ever done that? When you wake up and you're way too hot and you're like, take these socks off of me, take these blankets off of me. I felt like crap. I go back to the hospital the next day and I do the same thing all over again. I try to lower the sedation. I'm trying everything. I'm giving him different medicine. Of course, the patient starts freaking out again. So I go up on the sedation and I'm just sitting there. And for some reason, I did something bad. I looked them up on social media and I'm looking through all their posts and I'm like, man, I can't believe this is like happening to you. And I start like connecting with them or something. Start lowering the sedation again and they start freaking out again. But this time something happens to me. I get so freaking hot. I start breaking a profuse sweat right at the bedside. I start feeling so sick. I'm like, oh my God, I have to sit down. I have to call another nurse over. I start going back up on the sedation. And I'm like, sorry, I don't know. Something just overcame me. The other nurse comes, takes a break for me, and I go to the bathroom. And I'm in the bathroom, and I'm thinking for a second. And I'm like, you know what? This patient has boots on, gloves on, a neck brace. They have all of this stuff and they can't regulate their own temperature because the blood in the ECMO machine is being taken out and warmed and put back in. And I noticed that they were spiking fevers. And I was like, what if they're just too hot? Like the other night when I woke up from sleep and I was too hot and I freaked out. So I went back to the bedside and I was like, all right, guys, gather around. We're about to do something crazy. I was like, we're going to take off all of their mittens, all of their boots. We're even going to take off their neck brace. And they're like, are you crazy? The person freaks out every time you lower the sedation. I was like, I don't know. I think they're too hot. Maybe they need help trying to regulate their body temperature. I don't know. I just want to try it. They're like, okay. By the end of the night, this patient was completely off sedation, watching the football game on TV. And I was like, something weird's going on. I was like, I got hot the night before because I slept with socks on. The next day, I got profusely hot trying to lower the sedation. And that was the answer. I ended up doing a whole project on ICU patients getting too hot and waking up and like being confused. All those series of events lined up perfectly to save that person's life. In both stories, it's like I connected into these people and it caused these otherworldly experiences where I was like, something weird is going on here.
I for sure think that somehow she was able to tap into maybe not another timeline, but like tap into something a little deeper. And maybe she was able to help out the initial patient where they were able to essentially respond to her when they were non-responsive before. Maybe she was just able to, like, I don't know, like, I feel like this is a really gross image that keeps popping in my head, but like it's like sticking her fingers like into a sponge, that like, whereas other people were like, they're just touching the surface, but she's able to like stick her fingers into like I don't know why that's like the image that's popping up into my head. It feels like kind of gross, but that's what I'm like thinking, and like that's like the best way to describe how I'm thinking is like, it's like she's able to just like get in there a little bit more than everyone else, and that she was able to kind of help wake them up and make them more responsive maybe. And it seems like she then was able to tap in and see them essentially kind of leaving, even though they left while she was gone. I definitely think she has some kind of psychic abilities in that sense. That's what I'm kind of gathering from these stories, especially with the patient where she's tapping into what they're feeling and is able to suggest this thing that everyone's like, no, that's not going to work, but then it ends up working and they are able to be rehabilitated. And I mean, I don't know, that's crazy. Like, she is literally tapping into these patients' needs and kind of being a voice for them when they can't use their voice. I think she definitely is leaning into some psychic abilities, kind of crossing timelines a little bit, and I think it is a beautiful but also crazy experience, and I'm so glad she shared it with us. But that is all I have for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's been a while since I did a Glitch in the Matrix video, so had to toss this in here. I need to work on doing these more. I get in the groove with the terrifying TikTok videos, and then I kind of forget about the Glitch in the Matrix ones, but I have so many more to share with you, so I'll be doing these a little bit more often here and there because I know you guys really like these. ADHD, I don't know if I already said this, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to tag me in any Glitch in the Matrix or terrifying TikToks you want me to include in a future video. My username is @theAbbeyStorymeyer. My links are down below. Please check out my Instagram and TikTok. While you're at it, I post spooky special effects makeup content on there year-round. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. I will pop a couple of video suggestions on the screen for you to watch next. Click the subscribe button down below and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I post every Sunday and most Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.